Hello, this is your host, Adam Graham, from Pretty Much the Present. And in this video, we'll be bringing you a compilation of old-time radio detective podcasts from 2010. The podcasts are appearing, for the most part, unedited, except for some extraneous or repetitive elements that are being removed because this is a compilation. As I said, these are old, so any websites or offers mentioned may not be valid at the time you're listening unless you find them on our website currently. Now, with that said, here is a week of old-time radio detective podcast. Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. Got a comment? Email me. Box13 at greatdetectives.net. Cast your vote for the show on Podcast Alley, podcastalley.greatdetectives.net. And you can always become a fan of the show on Facebook, facebook.greatdetectives.net. Well, for those of you who have the app or our premium subscription, we got a special treat. It is Alan Ladd playing the lead in Casablanca, the Lux Radio Theater presentation of Casablanca. And that's available if you have the app or a premium site, either one. Before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know about Audible. I've talked about how you can get old vintage radio shows, as well in very nice definition, as well as newer radio dramas through your Audible subscription. This month, though, my personal selection was for a book I heard about that could make me go further in my professional life. It's called Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath. Well, Audible's great for entertainment. It also can be a great source of information. And with Audible, you can listen to books that are going to be important to you. You can stay informed and avoid getting eye strain, too. You can try a 2-week free trial and get a free audiobook. Go to audiblepodcast.com/oldtimeradio. Now we'll get into today's episode of Box 13, Tempest in a Casserole.
Box 13, with the star of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
Dear Mr. Box 13, care of newspaper Star Times, I am Nick Nerikios. For 20 years I own a restaurant and there is no trouble, and that is good. Now I got trouble and that is bad. One day I look through paper, I see Box 13, that you go any place, do anything, you want adventure. All right, Mr. Box 13, you come to Nick's place, 2129 10th Street. You have no trouble finding it because it is only Nick's place.
So it is the only Nick's place in the neighborhood. Maybe you help Nick? Yes? Maybe I helped Nick, sure. At first I was laughing, and later I was laughing. But I was laughing with tears in my eyes.
And now back to Box 13 and Dan Holliday's newest adventure, Tempest in a Casserole.
Nick, what's his last name, Mr. Holliday?
Nerikios.
Oh.
Doesn't seem like anything interesting could come of it, does it, Susie?
Well, I think you ought to go and see him.
Why? I've had better letters than this, and you've thrown cold water on them.
His place is on 10th Street.
Keep going, Susie. What's your point?
Well, I thought you could do me a favor at the same time.
Uh-huh. What?
Look,
What's that?
I ordered an earthenware pot from Caldwell's department store on 10th Street. And look what they sent me.
It's cute. A little merry-go-round. A toy.
I know, but it isn't what I asked for.
What did you ask for?
I told them to send me a carousel.
You got it.
I didn't. I got this.
If you ordered a carousel, you...
I do not think this is very funny.
Susie, did you by any chance mean a casserole?
Oh, I guess I did.
The customer at Caldwell's is always right. You ordered a carousel, and a carousel you got.
Will you take it back for me?
No, sure. And even if Nick doesn't have anything interesting, I can do you a favor. So long, Susie. A half hour later, I was in Nick's place on 10th Street. A clean, neat restaurant that seemed to be doing a wonderful business. Every table was filled and the counter was loaded and crowded with people. I asked for Nick, and a waitress guided me to his office in the rear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can do you something, sir?
Well, the question is, what can I do for you?
What are you selling?
My services, free.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do not understand. Mr. 13, I am so glad. Please, you sit down, please.
Oh, thanks. I have a name as well as a number, Nick. It's Dan Holiday.
Oh, good, Mr. Dan. My name, Alexander Derekios.
Alexander? But I thought...
Oh, sure. My name, Alexander, but when I first come this country, everybody call me Nick. One name, she's good like any other. But that is not here or any place, yes?
Yes, I suppose not.
Mr. Den, you see my restaurant, you come in, yes?
Yes, and you're doing a roaring business, Nick.
Like Shakespeare says, it's a rob.
What do you mean?
Oh, Mr. Den, you look here. I open the door.
It's still crowded out there.
Yes, but each one have coffee, just coffee. They sit and read newspapers, books, anything, and they drink 1 cup of coffee.
Nothing else?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. And how long do they stay?
All day long. I am losing money, fist over hands.
Any enemies who might want that?
Enemies? No, I have no enemies, Mr. Dan. I like everybody like me. You ask all around. Everybody say, Nick Nerekios, good man.
Has anyone else ever wanted this spot?
Oh, sure. Lots of times people come, they want to sublease from me. I say no.
Has that happened recently?
Sure, only 2 days ago.
I think that's it, Nick. This is a good spot in between Caldwell's department store and a bank. You probably did a lot of business before the coffee drinkers moved in on you.
Yes, but now, my regular customer, they come past at noontime, they look in, they see all the business, they in a hurry, so they go someplace else. Oh, Mr. Dan, you help Nick, yes?
Sure. I'll tell you what, Nick. You put a sign on each table and on the counter. One that reads, minimum charge, 50 cents.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's magnificent, Mr. Dan. Yes, sure. I do that. Yes.
Okay. Now I'll be running along.
Look, anytime you want, you come to Nick's place, you bring friends, all your friends. Nick cook personally for you. Anything you want. You do that, yes?
It's a deal.
Now you tell me something else.
What's that, Nick?
Why you do this? Why you put that ad in the paper?
Well, I write stories, Nick, and sometimes a letter leads me to a good one.
You don't take money?
No.
How you live?
By my stories. When I haven't got writer's cramp. Well, I've got to be going, Nick. Meanwhile, don't forget the signs on the tables and the counter. So, marking that little visit off to profit and loss, I went home. Then the next day at the office.
You forgot, didn't you?
Huh? Forgot what, Susie?
You didn't take my carousel back for a casserole.
Oh, I'm sorry, Susie. I put it in the back of my car and forgot all about it. I'll do it for you, though.
When, Mr. Holliday?
Maybe today.
All right. Hello?
Please, you let me talk to Mr. Holliday. I want to talk to Mr. Dan. Please,
I know
hurry. Very important.
Wait a minute. I don't know who this is, Mr. Holliday.
Yeah, I'll take it. Hello?
Mr. Dan Holliday, I want to talk to Mr. Dan Holliday, the writer.
Well, this is Dan. Oh, Nick?
Yes, Nick. Oh, Mr. Dan, I am in trouble once more again.
What's the matter? My idea, didn't it work?
Oh, sure, fine. Work fine.
Then what's the matter?
My credit, it is ruined.
Your credit? Go slowly, Nick, and tell me all about it.
For years I buy on credit, same as big business. All the time I pay my bills sharp on the dash. Now, all of a sudden, no credit.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like someone fixed that for you.
What do I do now? No wholesaler send Nick food he need for business. And I cannot open my restaurant. I am ruined.
Now, calm down a minute and listen to me.
I listen.
Did you make money last month?
Always I make money.
Well, have you got a bank account?
4 of them.
All right, then. Have one of your banks call the wholesalers with whom you do business. Just reestablish your credit. That's all.
That is all I do, Mr. Dan?
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Oh, what a wonderful man. Mr. Dan?
Yes?
You are not writer.
No?
No, you are a genius. Goodbye.
Susie, I am now a genius.
Good, but is there a story in it?
Oh, you slave driver. What a wonderful guy.
Who, Nick? Why didn't you go down there then?
But you heard me handle it over the phone.
My casserole, Mr. Holliday.
Oh, all right. Later. And I'm glad we had that thing put in. It keeps me awake. I'll get it, Susie.
Okay.
Hello.
Mr. Dan?
Yeah, Nick? You again?
Mr. Dan, the whole world is terrible.
Now what's the matter?
Nothing like has happened since Adam and Eve. The world is upside down, topsy-topsy.
Hold it a minute, Nick. You better start over again.
Oh, I will take back the drinkers of coffee. I will pay them to come back, but this is too much. Please, you come to me. Help me, Mr. Dan.
All right, Nick, all right. I'll be there in a half hour. I hurried down to Nick's place, and before I could drive up in front, I knew something was wrong. The street was crowded with trucks and their drivers. The place was a bedlam. Horns tooting, drivers yelling at each other to get out of the way, and right in the center of it all, Nick. His hair was standing on end, his face was as white as a sheet, and his arms were flying around like a lunatic windmill. I parked in an alley a half a block away and walked toward Nick.
No, these are not mine. I did not order 10 radios and jig boxes.
Now, look, you're Nick Nera. Are you Nick?
I am Nick. I wish I was not Nick.
Hey, Nick, what's this all about?
Oh, Mr. Dan, my friend. Look what has happened to Nick.
Hey, mister, you know this guy, this Nick?
Yes, I do. What is all this, driver?
Yeah, just look at this bill here. It says deliver 10 radios and 3 jukeboxes to Nick's place. Now the guy says he don't order them.
No, I don't, Mr. Dan.
Hey, pull that half years out of the way. I gotta get in there.
Keep your ears in, wise guy. I'm here for you.
Oh, Mr. Dan, my restaurant is filled with things I do not order. Look, all up the street, down the street, trucks.
Yeah, I see him, Nick.
2 pianos, 5 refrigerators, 19 beds. My customers are all gone. They are scared of the elephant.
Elephant? Oh, what do you mean?
Somebody send Nick an elephant. Oh, Mr. Dan, please, about an elephant is nothing funny.
Okay, Nick. You go back into your restaurant. I'll take care of this for you.
Oh, you do this, Mr. Dan. Nick is grateful.
Yeah, sure.
What would I do with an elephant?
Well, I did what I could. I convinced the truck drivers with the help of 5 cops that a mistake had been made. It took over an hour, but at last the tangle was unsnarled. Radios, refrigerators, jukeboxes, razor blades, pianos, beds, whatnots, and the elephant. Well, they were all sent back where they'd come from. Then I went in to see Nick.
Oh, Mr. Dan, Nick does not know what to say. Nick is spokeless.
Sit down, Nick.
Oh, sure. You want some coffee?
Not right now, thanks. Look, Nick, you said someone had asked you to sublet your restaurant. What reason was given?
They say Nick does not know how to run a restaurant. They say they make a gold mine.
Yet you've been making a comfortable living.
Oh, in America, I am very happy. I come here a long time ago now.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nick, here's what you do. You sit tight.
Sit tight?
Stay right where you are. Don't sublet to anyone. Understand?
Oh, I never give up my place. Never.
That's the ticket. Whoever's doing this to you will have to give up sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything else happens, you let me know,
Oh,
huh?
sure. I'll call my good friend, Mr. Dan.
Swell.
Why you think they do this to me, Mr. Dan?
I don't know, Nick. but it'll be interesting to find out. I went back home, and the more I thought about Nick and the trouble he was having, the more curious I got. Why should anyone want a restaurant badly enough to go to all that trouble? Why? I was still wondering when... Hello?
Mr. Dan? Is this Mr. Dan?
Yes, who is this?
I am Mrs. Nick Narakios.
Mrs. Narakios?
Yes. Mr. Dan,
Mrs. Narakios, what's the matter?
It's about Nick, my poor Nick.
What about him?
He wants you to come to him.
Where?
Home. You come, please. Please come, please.
Right away. What's the address?
789 Borden Street. Please, you hurry, please. Something terrible has happened to my Nick.
And now back to Tempest in a Casserole, another Box 13 adventure with Alan Ladd as Dan Holliday.
I hurried to Nick's home. Whatever had happened to him was enough to make his wife almost hysterical. She met me at the door, her face stained with tears. She led me through the clean little flat and...
Nick, here is Mr. Dan.
Oh, my friend.
Nick, what happened? Who did this to you?
Look what I do to my Nick. His poor eyes, his nose, my Nick.
Gina, you go out of room for a minute. Yes, I want to talk to Mr. Dan. Make some coffee, eh?
All right, Nick, all right. I make you some coffee.
Nick, how did this happen?
Tonight I leave my restaurant. Always I take the shortcut through the alley back of my place. I walk for a little bit and somebody hit me.
Did you see who it was?
No,
Did you go to the police?
Oh, no. I come home. I tell my wife to call you, Mr. Dan.
But you should have gone to the police.
Oh, but I am scared, Mr. Dan. I read in paper that men who do this will also maybe hurt my wife. I do not want that, Mr. Dan. I do not want that.
Nick, I want you to sublet your place.
Oh, no, I do not do that. I will send my wife away where she will be safe, but no, Nick stay here, like you say, sit tight. I'll not give up.
You want me to help you, don't you?
Oh, sure.
And listen to me and do as I say. Sublet your restaurant. Sublet it and we'll see what happens. After I left Nick, I went to see Lieutenant Kling. He listened to what I had to tell him, and...
But, Dan, he should have come to the police.
He was scared, Kling. Besides, what could he prove? The men who beat him up were hired by the person or persons who want Nick's place.
Why?
There's a bank next door, Kling.
I know that, but you're not thinking those guys will drill through the walls in that restaurant to get to the bank.
It's been done before.
Yeah, I know. So you told Nick to go ahead and sublet.
That's right. Look, Kling, here's the way I figured. They want Nick's place badly enough to commit mayhem. They counted on his being scared enough to keep him away from the police. But what they didn't know was that Nick had written to me asking me to help.
So, what's your idea?
Let them have the place. Let them do what they want. But watch that bank. Well, Nick sublet his place to the men who had been after it. And Kling and the police watched the bank. Special alarms were set in the walls. Night and day, the restaurant was watched. And what happened? Well, exactly what happened to Simple Simon's fish hook in the pail of water. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. One day, after a couple of weeks of this game of watch and wait, I was in my office.
Mr. Holliday.
What, Susie?
Did you ever look in the back seat of your car?
Back seat of my car? Why? Who's there?
Not who. What?
Well, what's this? 20 questions?
My carousel is still in the back seat of your car. It's been there for weeks now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Susie. I'm sorry. I hope I haven't held up your cooking.
If you'll give it to me, Mr. Holliday, I'll take it back and exchange it. I wouldn't want to put you to all that trouble.
No, Susie, don't be cross. I'll take it back today. I'm going to Nick's place anyway.
Promise?
Honest Injun and stuff.
Fine. Now I can make baked noodles sometime.
Good enough. I'll go right now.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant.
Hello, if it isn't Lieutenant Kling. Come on in.
This isn't a social call. Look, Holiday, the department's pulling the men off the bank and the restaurant today.
But why?
Why? Because I needed someplace else. For 2 weeks we played Find the Gimmick because you had an idea. Now we're very tired.
But that's what those men might be waiting for.
Yeah? Look, if they're going to make the pitch, they'd have made it. But they didn't.
There's no sign they won't.
Okay. So we know who they are in case they do. They wouldn't get 10 feet before we'd have them. Dan, we can't play anymore. Sorry.
Okay. But I'm sure they're playing some kind of a fast game.
Then you get in it. So long.
Maybe Kling was right. But then again, maybe I was right. I hadn't been in the restaurant since the last time with Nick. I wanted to keep out of the way in case I'd been spotted then. So I thought I'd drop in before going to the department store. A waiter came up to me.
Yeah? What'll it be, mister?
Where's your menu?
We ain't got any.
No menus?
Our customers can't read.
It's a funny way to run a restaurant.
Okay, it's funny, so laugh.
Well, what have you got to eat?
Hamburgers.
And?
Onions.
Nothing else?
Our customers ain't that hungry.
Okay, bring me a hamburger. No onions. And a cup of coffee.
Take a while if you don't want to wait and leave.
This was a great restaurant. Not like when Nick had it. I was the only customer, and from the waiter's attitude, the lack of business was understandable. What was going on? As I sat there, I heard a sound that puzzled me. I couldn't figure it. And as best as I could judge, it was coming from the kitchen right in back of me. I just couldn't place that sound, although I knew I'd heard it before, someplace. Then the waiter came back, after a 15-minute wait.
Here you are, mister.
How about the coffee?
Be up in a minute.
Just a second. You put onions on this.
No extra charge.
But I don't want onions. This is loaded with them.
Okay. Don't eat it then.
So I sat there and looked at the hamburger. It was fried hard, and the bread was well on its way to being toast by reason of age. And the waiter? Well, if he had ever waited tables before, I'd eat the hamburger, which I didn't. I never did get the coffee, but waiting for it gave me the chance to look around and think. That sound puzzled me, but I couldn't figure it any more than I could get the reason for the whole setup. But one thing was obvious. The management didn't care if any customers came in or not. So I left. I went next door to Caldwell's department store to exchange Susie's Carousel for a Casserole. And at the counter...
Yes, sir. May I help you?
Yes, please. I want this exchange.
Do you have your slip, sir?
It's with the Carousel. You see, I'd like to get one of these casseroles in exchange.
For yourself, sir?
Does that make any difference?
Well, I thought you might have a color preference. We have them in earth brown, red, and green.
Green.
Green? Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. We're out of the green one.
Well, it really doesn't make any difference.
Well, how about the red?
That'll be fine.
Do you like to cook?
Not particularly.
Oh, many men do.
Well, this is not for me. It's,
I see. Let's see now. These are $1.95, and the exchange on the Carousel is, let's see now. You owe me $1.87.
Here you are.
Out of 5, thank you, and I'll have you change in just a moment.
Hey, that sound.
I beg your pardon?
That sound. Now I know.
Know what, sir?
The compressed air tube for sending slips and the money to the cashier. Oh, lady, I love you.
Really, sir? This is neither the time nor the place.
Where's the manager?
You have a complaint?
No, a hunch, and I'm going to play it. Where's the manager?
Well, the second floor. Office is in the rear of the building.
Thank you.
Your change, sir, and your casserole.
Don't worry, I'll be back. It was a hunch, all right. But I thought it was a good one. I called Kling, told him to get to the Caldwells right away, and to bring a certain something with him. And later in the manager's office.
But I don't understand, Mr. Holliday.
That makes 2 of us, Mr. Bardo. Holiday, what gives?
Mr. Bardo, has your store shown a loss for, say, the last 2 weeks?
Loss? Are you a stockholder?
No, but has it?
Well, then I hardly think...
Dan, get to the point. What are you doing? You call me here and tell me to bring a tear gas bomb. I think you've slipped your hinges.
Listen, let's all go down to the kitchenware department.
Kitchenware?
All right, any place in the store. I want to prove something.
Well, this is highly irregular, but since you've brought in the police, I must assume you're serious.
I assure you I am. Come on.
Morning. Miss Conning?
Yes, Mr. Bardo? Oh, it's you again.
Hello.
Miss Conning, this gentleman...
Mr. Bardo, I assure you I was courteous. Why, he told me he loved me.
What?
What's going on?
It was a figure of speech. Look, Mr. Bardo, please ask Miss Corning to do what I asked.
Really, this is ridiculous. However, Miss Corning...
Yes, Mr. Bardo?
Make out a sales slip for...
this frying pan. Here.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's a $10 bill. Send it along through the compressed air tube.
Shall I wrap the pan?
No, I don't think I'll want it. Just the slip, the money, and the change tube.
Go ahead, Miss Corning.
Yes, sir.
And what about the tear gas bomb, Dan?
Tear gas?
Miss Corning.
What about it, Dan?
Now, we'll see. All right, Miss Corning, send the slip and the $10 bill through the change tube. Oh, wait.
What now?
Mr. Bardo, call the cashier and tell her to expect this carrier.
If it weren't at the police, it... give me the house phone, Miss Corning. Thank you. Extension 490. Hello, Miss Roebling. This is Mr. Bardo. In just a moment, a carrier containing a sales slip for a frying pan and a $10 bill will come to you and... Mr. Holliday, why am I telling her this?
Just tell her to do the usual with it.
Oh, very well. Miss Roebling, handle the carrier as usual. Yes, thank you. All right, now what?
Send the carrier, Miss Corning.
Dan, will you tell me why I'm here? I'm on a perfectly good homicide case, and you drag me here to go through an idiotic...
I think you'll see. How long will this take, Mr. Bardo?
Oh, a few seconds. The store isn't crowded. Business isn't good today, not at all.
Yeah, that goes for me, too.
There's a carrier. Open it, Miss Corning.
Yes, sir. Oh, the change is here, and your receipt for the frying pan.
You sure?
Of course, look at it.
Dan, you just bought yourself a frying pan. Now you should go home and bang your head with it. Or let me.
I don't get it. I thought I...
Oh, excuse me, that's my extension.
You thought you what, Dan?
Hello?
I thought I had a hunch about that.
Now, you've taken up a great deal of our time,
Mr. Bardo, the cashier phoned. She said she didn't get the carrier.
But that's impossible. There's the slip and the change.
I knew I had a hunch. Clayton, let me have that tear gas bomb.
No, I give up. Here.
Mr. Holliday, what are you going to do?
Give me one of those carriers, Miss Corning. Thanks. Now, we'll put the bomb in the carrier. So. And gimmick it so that when the carrier's opened, the tear gas bomb will do its stuff. Okay. Send it along, Miss Corning.
Holliday, you crazy? The cashier opens that, she'll get...
She won't get it. Go ahead, Miss Corning. Send it on.
Mr. Bardo, should I?
Yes, send it. I'll warn the cashier by phone not to open it. Mark it with your checking pencil.
Good. Come on, Kling, I'll buy you a hamburger. Next door.
You think we made it?
Sure. Now just keep an eye on the front door of the hamburger. Here they come. Grab him, Kling. Grab him.
Hey, what's the matter?
Ah, the waiter with tears in his eyes. I told you there were too many onions in that hamburger.
And those crooks were taking money like that?
That's right, Susie. They had tapped into the compressed air tubes which ran through the walls of the department store in Nick's place. Were helping themselves to some nice, easy cash.
They must have made a fortune.
No, not a fortune, but enough. You see, if they had grabbed every one of the carriers, it would have spoiled the game. The store would become suspicious.
Oh.
But they work each city for a month, and they move on to another spot.
What won't they think of next?
Who knows? Now, excuse me. I've got a date at Nick's for dinner.
Oh, Mr. Holliday.
Hmm?
Why'd you get a red one?
Red what?
Casserole. I like green. So, as long as you're going down that way, will you exchange...
Oh, good night, Susie.
Next week, same time, through the courtesy of Paramount Pictures, Alan Ladd stars as Dan Holliday in Box 13. Box 13 is directed by Richard Sandville, and this week's original story was written by Robert M. Light. Original music is composed and conducted by Rudy Schrager. Part of Susie is played by Sylvia Picker, and that of Lieutenant Kling by Edmund MacDonald. Production is supervised by Vern Karstensen. Box 13 is a Mayfair production from Hollywood. Watch for Alan Ladd in his latest Paramount picture.
Welcome back. Where I come from, we don't have accents, but usually, when referring to a bowl, it's not called a casserole, it's called a casserole bowl. Whether that's a change in times or if other areas of the country call them casserole bowls, or call them casseroles, even today, I don't know. This one was a nice mystery without murder actually occurring. And I'm not certain whether the criminal's plot was clever or not so bright. On one hand, I think it was a pretty clever way to steal the money. On the other hand, taking a $10 bill out of every 3 or 4 purchases, I'm not sure it would add up to enough to be worth it. They might make more money actually being courteous and running the restaurant. Comment on Facebook from Cash, who writes, Adam, I love your show. 2 things. I would like to hear Philip Marlowe. I love Chandler. That's definitely something I'd like to do. To get through all the Philip Marlowe we have, it's going to take about 2 years, so we need a good block of time, but I've definitely got that plan a few years down the road, so definitely expect that to come. Second thing is it might be neat if you uploaded some interviews or biographies that have been done with or on some of our actors. I found fascinating your discussion of Rathbone as a genuine hero a while back, and would like to hear more. Maybe a weekend extra every once in a while. Well, thanks for the comment. This one is a little harder to do. They didn't really do major biographical profiles of living stars back then during the golden age of radio. It just simply didn't happen, particularly with the radio stars. And interviews that survive tend to be kind of sparse. We do have a few things that I might be able to track down. Vincent Price gave an interview on the radio in the 60s, and of course he played in The Saint. And Dick Powell talked about his personal philosophy of life on a show called This I Believe. So there are a few things we can throw in. I don't know if it's anything that could happen with any regularity. Now, there have been interviews with old radio stars done after the golden age of radio. Those we'd have to get some sort of permission on. And even then, a lot of the detective stars just really were not all that fortunate. I looked through a list of some interviews that have been done, and none of them were with the main stars of detective shows. There were a few with some of the character actors who made frequent appearances. But that one's a hard one to do. But I will definitely see what I can find as we go. Finally, we have this comment from Podcast Alley. From Patty, I love the old-time detective shows, but to be honest, it took me a while to get used to your commentary, Adam. After listening for a while now, though, I have come to enjoy what you add before and after each show almost as much as the show itself. Thanks for your dedication and hard work. I look forward to many more years of your podcast. Well, thanks very much, Patty. Kind of going along with yesterday's show, after I recorded that show, I found out about an old-time radio show called Behind the Mic. This show gives insights into how the old radio shows were made. It was recorded in the early 40s. It looks like some pretty interesting behind-the-scenes stuff. And if you'd be interested in that as like a quarterly special, your feedback's appreciated. I'll listen throughout the month of June. If people would so like to get an idea of how some of these radio shows were put together, then I can arrange to add that in like once every 3 months. Well, I do want to, before we get started, let you know about Audible. Audible allows you to get one audiobook a month, plus discount, 30% discount on any other audiobooks versus the retail price. Sign up for a 2-week free trial. Go to audiblepodcast.com/oldtimeradio. That's audiblepodcast.com/oldtimeradio. Now let's get into today's episode of Jeff Regan, The Lost Lady.
name's Regan. I get 10 a day and expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan investigators, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Lost Lady.
You'll find it in Hollywood, jammed in between Van Ness and Wilton, right off the boulevard, Taft Avenue. Starts at a furniture store, runs for about a block, and then crosses Franklin. What happens to it after that, I don't know. I only go as far as the gray apartment building on the even number side, about the first thing you see. Figures that the guy who built my place never read the earthquake laws. A good crap game and shake it loose. Well, that's where I live. Apartment 308. In the back, where I can keep an eye on a brass drain pipe and a tired-out palm tree. I got a coffee pot and a bed that comes out of the wall. It isn't much, but the phone company had to have an address. That's where I was last Monday night, about 8 o'clock. Some Cleveland fans were running up a house tab in the apartment above me when the phone rang. I thought it might be somebody from Boston. It was the Lion.
Regan, I'm calling you from the office. I stayed late tonight.
You should have joined the union.
We got a new client.
Yeah?
Her name's Isabel Sanchez. I just talked to her.
Did you make a date?
She flew in from Mexico City tonight on American Airlines. She needs help.
They're saying that about the Democrats.
Comes from a fine family. Lots of influence in Mexico.
Try the State Department.
She came all the way to Los Angeles to see her sister, but she's disappeared.
Did you tell her about the Missing Persons Bureau?
I told her about you.
What do you mean?
You're going to find her sister.
I'm no St. Bernard.
You'll do till I can feed one. Besides, she could go to the Mexican Council if she wanted to.
What's that got to do with it?
Remember the Pan-American Conference? We gotta be nice to this dame.
Yeah, well, don't make up a contract.
I already did. She gave me $200.
What else did you get?
She'll tell you the rest.
Don't you ever ask questions?
That's your job. She's got a room at the Belmont. Hop over there and see her. She's expecting you to find her sister.
That all?
That's enough. Call me after you talk to her.
I hope her check bounces.
Don't worry. She paid cash.
Well, you can tell that the Lion only stayed in school long enough to learn how to spell dollar. It took me about 20 minutes to get over to her hotel. Isabel Sanchez had a room on the 6th floor. I found it on the Wilshire side. 610 it was. She was a tall, blonde girl, not the least bit pretty. She had a mouthful of good-looking teeth, but she never learned how to use them in a smile.
You're Mr. Regan?
That's right.
Come in. Please excuse me, I'm still unpacking. Come in.
All right.
I'm so glad you're here. I suppose Mr. Lyon told you everything.
Your sister's missing. You want to talk to me?
Yes. Oh, it's terrible. An awful vacant feeling. I was so looking forward to seeing Carmen again. We were very close.
You talk like you don't expect to see her.
Something might have happened to her.
Like what?
I don't know. She's always been so independent and, well, strange.
Well, a lot of people have their own ideas.
I'm embarrassed telling you this.
You've got to tell somebody.
Well, Carmen left home against my father's wishes.
How old is Carmen?
22.
What was the guy's name?
What do you mean?
All right, come on. I got to have it all, lady. There was a man in it.
Yes. Martin Chambers.
From here in L.A.?
Carmen met him once in Mexico City. Thought she was in love with him.
When was this?
A year ago.
She followed him back.
Yes.
You took a long time to catch up.
I've been very concerned about Carmen. I received this letter from her a few days ago. It's the first word since she left home. Here. You can see it's not much. She asked me to come here. I took the first plane.
Mm-hmm. What about this address?
There's no such place. I went there right from the airport.
Who sent you to us?
You're in the phone book.
Is that all you got?
Well, I have her picture, and it isn't very good. Just a snapshot here.
Mm-hmm. Blonde, huh?
A little darker than mine. She's the same height. We wore each other's clothes.
Who else did she know?
Just Martin Chambers. Oh, no. Now, wait a minute. She mentioned a Dr. Menlo in her letter.
Did she need a doctor?
She just said he'd been very kind to her.
That isn't very much to go on.
I know, but you will follow every lead.
Yeah, sure. What are you scared of?
Why do you ask that?
It's a warm night. You got the shakes.
I had a long trip.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You know this Chambers?
Yes?
You like him?
No.
What's that you got there in your hand?
An evening gown. Why?
You didn't bring that for me. Well, her story was smooth, but the clothes didn't fit. All the labels that showed said New York City. I went downstairs to a phone booth, and I got a hold of a friend of mine in the CAA. He checked into it, and he told me that nobody named Isabel Sanchez came in on that Mexico City flight. The whole thing looked phony, like a fan dancer in long underwear. Well, it was about 11 o'clock when I got over to the Lion's place. It was a cold night, but the Lion looked warm.
What do you want, Regan? I'm busy.
So am I. I've been looking at that Sanchez dame.
Tell me about it in the morning.
No, I'm going to tell you about it right now. It's no good.
What do you mean?
It's another bum client.
She gave me $200.
Her clothes are out of New York.
Maybe she came the long way.
She didn't come in on American.
So she's got a donkey. All you got to do is find her sister.
I just told you she's a phony.
Let me worry about that.
Well, you can start now. Here.
Watch this.
It's a letter and a picture. That's all the lead I got.
Now, wait a minute, Regan. What about our contract?
New Year's is coming up. You'll need confetti.
I can't do a thing like that. We got a moral obligation.
And $200.
I'm thinking of our reputation. I've given our word.
Take it back.
That girl's a stranger in a foreign land. She came to us for help.
Oh, stop it, will you? If there was a quarter in the bay, you'd drop your mother overboard and tell her to hold her nose.
You're getting out of line, Regan.
If she came up with kelp, you'd wring her out for iodine.
That's enough. We got a case and you're going to handle it.
You're going to handle it. I quit.
I know this girl looks suspicious, but we have to give our clients the benefit of the doubt.
Why didn't you send her to missing persons?
I'll keep this picture and check with them first thing in the morning. You follow up that Menlo in the letter.
Well, a guy named Chambers has got priority.
Who's that?
The girl's got a love story.
It's getting cold out here. Check me in the morning.
I'll do that.
Remember, Regan, we always work hand in hand.
Yeah. That's why I never wear a ring. Well, it was too late to do anything else, so I went home and pulled that bed out of the wall. The next morning, I found a Martin Chambers listed in the city directory with an address on Laurel. Turned out to be a 2-story apartment building about the color of a bride's blush. And it was wrapped around a swimming pool the size of a bird bath. Chambers' name wasn't on the mailbox, but a skinny guy with a load of bed sheets told me I could find the manager in apartment 15. When she answered the door, her voice sounded like a beer truck in low gear.
Hello, Sonny. Looking for an apartment?
You got one?
No. Come on in. Having some coffee. You want some?
No, I'll pass.
You don't know me, do you?
I just got here.
I played the Palace in 26. Ah, them was the days.
Write it up and sell it to the movies.
Damn slobs. Central Casting ain't called me in 4 years.
You got a card?
AFRA, SAG, and the Musicians Union. I play French horn. None of them call me. I figure it's a record band.
I'll talk to Petrillo.
I hate this dump. My third husband gave it to me. By the way, what are you doing here, Sonny?
I'm looking for a man named Martin Chambers.
What do you want him for?
Talk to him.
Cop?
No.
Day that guy moved in, I had him pegged for a gigolo. His hair was too curly.
Some women like that.
Not me. I used to have to chase him around the swimming pool to get his rent.
You're using the past tense. Where is he now?
Forest lawn.
That's one way to break a lease.
He got boozed up about 6 months ago and drove off Malibu Pier. Took them 3 days to fish him out.
Straighten his hair?
Yeah, it sure did. Oh, wait a minute here. I kind of like you, Sonny. You get around, don't you?
Yeah, when the weather's good.
Ever run into Louis B?
No, not yet.
If you do, mention my name, will you?
What is it?
Just say that Goldie McMasters was asking for him. He'll remember old Goldie.
How could he forget?
Palace in 26.
Mm-hmm.
Let's back
When I left, she was thumbing through an old variety. She looked unhappy, like a banjo player with a paper pick. Well, what she told me about Chambers took the leading man out of the picture, but there was a bit player named Menlo. Well, I called the office of a Paul Menlo, but they said he wasn't in that day, so I drove out to his address in Encino. It was a ranch house poured all over the top of a hill. From the looks of the place, Dr. Menlo must have been getting oversealing for his cough drops. I parked my car by the gate and followed the flagstones up to the front door. When I pressed a button, I heard something that sounded like chamber music. The door opened in the middle of the second chorus.
Good morning.
I want to see Dr. Menlo.
Your name, please?
Regan.
You'll have to call the doctor's office, Mr. Regan.
I already did.
And they must have told you the doctor doesn't see any patients at his home.
Yeah, well, I'm not sick.
Keep it up and you will be. Beat it, Pilgrim.
No, I came here to see the doctor.
You don't want to see you.
Get your hands off me, punk.
Once I hit a guy in the ear, it busted his leg.
Oh.
I can handle this guy, Vicky.
Stop that. Get out, Max.
I'll be in the back if you want.
You ever been a referee?
I've been a lot of things. Come in, Mr. Regan. I apologize for him. He's so eager. Isn't this better?
Well, everybody's eager now.
Anxious is a better word. I like blue serge. Has an effect on me.
You the doctor's helper?
I hold his stethoscope. My name's Vicky Starr.
I'd like to see him.
He's busy.
Where do I wait?
Might be quite a while. He just opened the bottle.
Well, then I'm right on time.
Paul's not sociable like me. He drinks alone. He gets more that way. Let me entertain you.
What can you do?
Watch.
Oh, no, easy, baby. I don't know how to fix a fracture.
I've already got a man that can do that. I want one with brains.
What's the matter with the doctor?
He keeps his in cold storage. Hasn't used them for a long time now.
Oh, I don't know. He's done all right.
This place? He'd be selling papers if his wife hadn't left him a good insurance policy.
Don't you like his money?
Don't get me wrong. I like being secure, but a girl has feelings, too.
Mm-hmm. They're beginning to show.
I'm glad I met you.
Why?
We're going to have some nice afternoons.
It's football season.
I have some free time. Ought to hear me on the piano, for instance.
No, I don't sing.
I'll teach you. Paul says I should have an outside interest.
Well, keep looking. You'll find one.
You smile good, but you talk nasty.
You started this conversation, sis.
Max is still in the kitchen.
I came here to see Menlo.
You didn't say what about?
I'll tell him.
There's the phone. Call and make an appointment.
Yeah, I'll beat it.
Hello, Vicky. Who is it this time?
His name's Regan. He hasn't got a business card.
Have Max show him out.
You Dr. Menlo?
Yes. Should I turn all my patients over to another doctor?
Yeah, well, I know one you forgot.
Tell me who.
Carmen Sanchez.
Go ahead, Vicky. I'll talk to him.
Watch yourself, Paul. He doesn't know how to be nice.
It'll only take a minute.
I'll crack some ice.
Good nurse.
She's out of uniform.
We're casual. You said I had a patient named Carmen Sanchez. Who told you that?
Somebody she knew?
Your a relative?
Friend.
You heard some wrong information, mister. I never heard of Carmen Sanchez.
I read about you in a letter.
Must have been another Menlo.
No, there's only one with a license.
You peaked, too. 25 a day?
10. I work for another guy.
Who?
Lion.
Lion's eye. Okay. You're still at the wrong house.
You want to show me your files?
Why not? Come on.
Okay.
They keep a duplicate at home. Help yourself. Want a drink?
Too early.
You don't mind if I have one?
No.
Anything?
Not under Sanchez, no.
Now do you believe me?
She could have used another name.
Got any ideas?
Blonde girl, 5'4", brown eyes.
Means nothing.
Do you ever know a man named Chambers?
Yeah. In high school, back in Denver. Drove a truck.
Well, that doesn't help.
I'm sort of retired now.
Yeah, that's what Vicky said.
Nice girl. Talks to everybody. You satisfied?
Not yet.
Don't mention. Always glad to help out. There's easier ways to make a living.
Yeah, I haven't got a wife with an insurance policy.
A year ago, I'd have broke you in half for that. Now it doesn't matter. You can find the door.
I'll be back.
Don't bother, Regan. Doctor will be out.
I left him sitting there with a glass of rye in his hand. It wasn't much of an interview, but there was a story somewhere. What Menlo didn't have in his files, he was keeping in his head, and figured he might open up if I showed him that snapshot in the letter. Well, I drove back to town. I put in a call to the Lion. Nobody answered at the office, so I went home. When I opened my door, I caught a load of taboo. Isabel Sanchez was wearing a dress she must have put on with a shoehorn.
You've got the nicest janitor. He thinks I'm your sister.
Where'd you meet him?
He was in the lobby when I came in. I've been waiting for you.
Yeah, well, we got an office, you know.
No one answered when I rang. I wanted to be sure and see you before I left.
Taking a trip?
I leave for Mexico City first thing in the morning.
Well, it was a short visit.
It was long enough.
What about your sister?
That's what I came here to tell you. I found Carmen.
Oh, you did?
Or rather, Carmen found me. I feel foolish now, calling in a detective service and all that.
Why?
Well, Carmen came to my hotel about noon today. And you imagine she's been looking for me.
Last night you said she didn't have an address.
Well, that was another silly thing. Only it was her mistake. She's not very good at details.
Where is she now?
She's out buying a few things and packing. I've convinced her to come home with me.
All right. Now you want to know what I found?
Why on earth should I? I have my sister.
You were worried about a man named Chambers last night.
Carmen told me she hasn't seen him for months.
Did she tell you about her doctor?
No.
I met him. Only he said he never saw her.
Oh, is that so? Well, Mr. Regan, I do appreciate your services. Please thank Mr. Lyons for his kindness. I'm sorry I won't be able to see him.
Yeah, he's going to be sorry, too.
You'll give him this envelope. There's $100 in it.
You're paid up.
It's for all the unnecessary trouble I've caused you. And, Mr. Regan, it's all confidential.
You read the contract.
I wouldn't want any of this to get back to the wrong people.
You know some of the wrong kind, do you?
Doesn't everyone? Thank you again. Bye.
Hello?
You run any expenses on this thing today?
No, I didn't.
Good. It's all over.
Isabel said she didn't see you.
There's a guy named Gallagher in missing persons. Got an eye like an eagle. He took one look at that snapshot and opened a file.
What kind of file?
Dead and unclaimed.
What do you mean?
Carmen Sanchez has been dead a year, and the county buried her.
You are listening to the story of the lost lady, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, investigator. Before we continue with tonight's story, here's an important message from the Adjutant General's office. The Army Nurse Corps Reserve still has commissions available for graduate registered nurses between the ages of 21 and 45. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of the lost lady and Jeff Regan, investigator.
Well, there are enough angles in this thing to write a new geometry book. Isabel Sanchez came to Los Angeles to find her sister, Carmen. She called in the Lion, who started me digging. A doctor named Menlo out in Encino used a milk bottle for a jigger. He was heavy on green stuff, but light on memory. He gave me nothing but an ice cube. His girlfriend, Vicky, was a little different. She gave me a warm glow, but I still drew a blank on the missing sister. Then Isabel walked into my place and said she found Carmen and called off the chase. That's about when the Lion rang and said that he'd found her, too, only his version was a little different. She was holding down a plot in the county cemetery, been dead a year. Well, I caught a cab and I went over to her hotel. A small man with a bald head opened the door and looked at me like I was trying to crash a coming-out party.
Yes?
I'm looking for Isabel Sanchez.
Are you a friend?
She won't think so.
She's not available.
All right, I'll wait.
What I mean is, could you come back later?
What's wrong with her now?
Oh, well, you see...
All right, come on, Buster. Let's throw it in gear.
Are you a guest of the hotel?
No.
Could you please tell me the nature of your business?
I want to see Isabel.
I'm sorry. I can't let you in until you tell me who you are.
Regan, International Detective Bureau. She's a client.
Oh, come in. I'm Dr. Stanwyck, the house physician.
She need one?
Not anymore. Look for yourself.
Well, how long's she been this way?
2 hours, I'd say. Bellboy found her a few minutes ago. She drank a lot. Alcoholic poisoning.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Regan, When a thing like this occurs, naturally, we don't like it to get around to the other guests. You'll use discretion, I presume.
I'll be as quiet as she is.
Thank you, Mr. Regan. We appreciate it. Mm-hmm. The elevator's to your right.
I got a good memory.
Regan.
What are you doing here?
Come to talk to our client.
You'll need a Ouija board.
What you mean?
She's dead.
Why'd you let that happen?
She wouldn't have done you any good.
What you talking about?
Yeah, all right. You go to Isabel. You say her sister's buried on the county, but it'll take a little cash to keep it out of the newspapers.
Not so loud.
Go back to your contest, Blank's big shot. That Sanchez dame didn't come from Mexico, and she wasn't rich.
You mean she's been lying?
I told you that yesterday.
All right, we'll close the Sanchez case.
Oh, no, we won't. It's still wide open.
Where you going?
To buy an airwick. Well, I went down to the Hall of Records. It's a brown building off Temple that leans over like an old lady with a short cane. I took the elevator upstairs, and I walked down to vital statistics. The place was empty, except for a guy sitting behind the desk. He had on a black suit with dust on the shoulders. His fingernails were dirty, and he was reading a dictionary. He must have been at a good part, because he looked mad when I nudged him.
We're not on a bus. Quick, shove it.
I want some information.
That's what I'm here for. I'm a public servant.
Now, let's get to the death files, will you?
You're a morbid guy. You got a lot of stuff on births and marriages. Ask me something about that.
Carmen Sanchez died a year ago in August. Tell me what from.
Okay. How'd you spell it?
Just like it sounds.
Sanchez. 17. Solas. Sanaki. Santa. Oh. That's what happened to old Sandy. No wonder I ain't seen him around.
Get the Sanchez.
All right. I got the Sanchez. Carmen. 22, date of death, 8/30/47. Alcoholic poisoning. She drank a lot.
Who signed the certificate?
P.E. Menlo, M.D.
Thanks.
Next time, make it something hard.
All right. Try this. Menlo's wife died about the same time.
Masters, Maurice, Melbourne, Babbitt, Menlo. Sylvia, 34/9/2/47. Alcoholic poisoning.
Certification?
P.E. Menlo. That guy can't keep a patient.
Well, I left and I went back out into the street. It was almost 5 and the traffic was heavy. I started to cross the street to a sandwich shop on the corner. A yellow cab raced me to the sidewalk, but I won. I went inside and a skinny waitress with peanut-colored hair brought me a cup of stale coffee and a burnt hamburger. I sat there and I tried to figure it. It was like swimming through a tidal wave in hip boots. 3 deaths from the same thing and Menlo's name on every one of them. Well, the answers weren't in the coffee cup, so I went home, picked up my car, and drove out to Menlo's place in Encino. The drive was nice, and so was the reception.
I built a fire.
I forgot the marshmallows.
We'll think of something else. You know, I'm not mad anymore.
I'm still looking for your doctor.
Let me take care of it.
No, I want to see him.
And you'll have to wait again.
When's he going to climb out of that bottle?
We had dinner at a place on Ventura. Paul found the bar. He'll stay till it closes.
I better go there.
Questions again?
Maybe.
I know some swell answers.
I'll bet you do.
I've worked for him a long time.
1 year.
How did you know? This is my night off.
You here all alone?
Isn't it terrible? Anything could happen. How do you like it?
Your way?
That's better. Now, let's have a nice, quiet evening. Just you and me. I had a feeling you'd be back.
Is that why you wore that?
Like it?
Well, you got talent, lady.
Discover me. There's been a famine of men like you.
You don't look underfed.
Why didn't I meet you sooner?
We didn't travel in the same crowd.
Let's start over.
Do you keep his files?
What's that got to do with us?
They'd never pass inspection.
Are you talking about something I should know?
Carmen Sanchez.
What about her?
She died. Menlo signed her death certificate.
Paul's lost a lot of patience. He's not very good. Did I tell you I played the piano?
You told me some other things.
Did I?
They make a good story.
I don't like stories.
Well, I'm going to tell you anyway.
I thought we were going to have a nice, quiet evening.
A girl walked in his office one day and dropped dead.
Good opening. Why'd she do that?
Alcoholic poisoning. She was a nobody named Carmen Sanchez.
The story's getting dull.
There was a snapshot in her pocketbook, not much else.
When does the action begin?
Right now, lady. The doctor's wife had an insurance policy. He convinced her to take a trip.
Why'd he want to do a thing like that?
So he could pull a name fix and collect his wife's insurance. He had a body.
No one will ever believe this plot.
He buried an empty box.
How do you know?
I'm going to have somebody dig it up.
What about the body?
He turned that over to the county.
Everybody lives happy ever after. Don't you like my music?
You're going to have to take up the harmonica, lady.
Why?
The gas chamber isn't big enough for a piano.
Who's going to the gas chamber?
You, maybe. An insurance fraud's one thing. Murder's a longer rap.
You haven't touched your drink.
I don't like mine that strong. Now, come on, lady. Get your coat.
Max!
I thought you were alone.
I lied.
Hello, Regan. You look excited.
He's tough, Max.
Yeah, that's easy.
Soften him up.
Oh.
I was in a white room when the trip ended. I tried to move my head, but it felt like a grand piano. So I just lay there. Pretty soon somebody put something damp on my face, and I began to see things. Vicky was there, Max. So was Menlo. If I'd have had a deck of cards, you could have played a pinochle game. Menlo looked kind of upset, like an ostrich with a sore throat. He had a needle in his hand. I get the shakes.
You're all right, Paul. Now go ahead.
Just like Isabel.
You should have stayed out, Regan.
Oh, I wanted one more look at you, baby.
I hate to see the nice ones go, but it'll all be over in a minute. All right, Paul.
Give me a drink, Vicky.
Never mind. Hurry up.
Let me have a drink.
Oh, you're too slow, Max.
Yeah? Keep away from me, Max. I'll kill you.
Put down that
Keep
gun.
away from me, I swear I'll kill you.
Oh,
I told you to keep away.
Menlo's slug took care of Max, but Vicky shot Menlo twice. And his knees knocked together. He began to pitch around like a toy balloon in a hurricane. He dropped his gun, but he held onto the needle. Then he slumped forward and made a grab for Vicky, and they both went down. He jammed the needle into her arm.
Here.
Same stuff you used on Isabel?
Yeah. They'll call it alcoholic boys.
I'll straighten them out.
Regan, hold my head.
Yeah. Here.
Call a doctor. Yeah.
He'd never make it.
Please, Regan. Call a doctor. Please.
Give me 5 good reasons.
5 good reasons? I got Vicky. I'll never use a needle again. And
you only gave me 2. Well, we didn't hear from the suburbs, but there were enough ballots to make an election. Homicide got the insurance commissioner down there, and he threw in a vote. Seems that Isabel Sanchez was Menlo's wife, only her name was Sylvia. When a dame named Carmen Sanchez dropped dead in his office, Menlo got kind of ambitious. He talked his wife into the switch, and, well, everything might have worked out. Except one night when he was seeing elephants, he told Vicky the whole thing. She set the squeeze play with Max in the dugout. When Sylvia got back and saw how things were, she called herself Isabel Sanchez and went to the Lion with a story about a lost sister. I was hired for scare work, and when she figured they had enough, she called me off, but it didn't take. And you know the rest. Well, the insurance company issued a fee for exposing it to fraud, and the Lion got his picture on page 1. It was right next to Vicky's. She was wearing one of those French swimming suits. The Lion said that'd do us a lot of good. It did. We each got a free bathing suit.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS at the same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by E. Jack Newman and Larry Roman. Produced by Sterling Tracy. The role of Vicky Starr was played by Yvonne Patey. Lorraine Tuttle was Isabel Sanchez. Ken Christie played Dr. Paul Menlo. And Larry Dobkin was Max Brenner. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. A couple notes on culture references. 1948, when this show was made, was actually the last year heretofore that the Cleveland Indians won the World Series. And they actually won the series 5 days before the show was written, so they included that as a topical reference. Another one was his comment about the Democrats needing help. And that's because the poll numbers at the time suggested that the Democrats were going to lose along with Harry Truman. Of course, the election didn't turn out that way. I've heard several radio shows from the post-1948 election ribbing the Republicans for losing. So when politics was referenced, it usually, at least as we've heard here, it's been used not as we use political humor today, comment on one party or another, but the joke always seems to be who's in power and who's out of power. Little different from how we would do sports teams. A little more gentle and a little less likely to offend. Oh, and by the way, when the Regan rang that doorbell, it sounded like the NBC chimes. But maybe that was just me. All right, one more quick comment off Podcast Alley, and then we'll be done. Amazingly done. The intros could be slightly more rehearsed, but hey, that is the mark of someone who knows what they are doing. Well, thanks so much for the comment. Much appreciated. When I was talking about time slots last week, I forgot to talk about Let George Do It. The time slot that Let George Do It had was 8 p.m., and that was because it was a West Coast show, so if they were unaffected by the a curfew of 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, because by starting at 8 o'clock, they were starting at 11 Eastern, but the show wasn't shown on the East Coast. Before we do get started with today's episode of Let George Do It, I want to encourage you, if you've not tried Audible, please do so. Go to audiblepodcast.com/oldtimeradio. Listeners can sign up for a 2-week free trial and get an audiobook free to keep. Go to audiblepodcast.com/oldtimeradio. Now let's go ahead and we will take a listen to The Flowers That Smelled of Murder.
Standard of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. The Flowers That Smelled of Murder, another adventure of George Valentine.
Personal notice, danger's my stock and trade. If you're in on a game and you know you're going to draw the losing hand, deal me in, George Valentine. Write full details.
Dear Mr. Valentine, I'm a freshman at Western State University. I'm majoring in botany, and I've suddenly found out that flowers can smell of murder. My professor of botany is about to be killed. Several attempts have been made on him, but nobody takes me seriously. I'm sure I'm not imagining things,
I'm not imagining things, so give me a chance to tell you the whole story. I live in Quonset Hut number 8, University Road. The name is Louise Durain.
That row of Quonsets on University Road, they're all reserved for ex-GIs. If our freshman friend took any part in the recent unpleasantness, she's not likely to be a light-headed character.
Well...
So, if she has murder on her mind...
Okay, whether she's an ex-whack or just plain wacky, Western State, here we come.
Oh, Louise? Yes, sure she's here. Darling, you coming out soon?
Oh, I'll be right there, Daddykins. I just got out of the shower.
Have a seat, Miss Brooks. Mr. Valentine, she won't be long.
Oh, thank you.
Louise wrote me quite a letter. She said something about a murder.
Oh, yes, I know. The poor child's been walking around with the idea of murder on her mind for days. Which reminds me...
Remind you of what?
Do you know what Socrates said about murder, Miss Brooks?
I beg your pardon?
He said... nothing.
Oh.
Oh, even though society did murder him, you know. He just drank the hemlock and died. You see, after looking well at the world, the true philosopher decides there's nothing to say.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. But about Louise and this letter.
I'll leave my pink sweater. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had company, Michael.
It's impolite to stare, George.
Can't help it, Angel. My mother decided I was going to be a boy baby.
Dear, this is Mr. Valentine and his assistant, Miss Brooks.
Of course. How do you do?
How do you do?
I'm so glad you did take my letter seriously. I suppose I should tell you what this is all about.
Well, it would help.
Poor Professor Kober is in terrible danger. I don't sleep nights thinking about it.
Oh, yes, the handsome professor's a source of great concern to my wife.
Your wife?
Oh, yes, for the longest time.
Yes.
I'm very proud of how young and beautiful she keeps herself.
Oh, Michael really means that. Can you wonder why I think he's such a darling?
Yes, well, at the risk of not being a darling, aren't you a little too old to be a freshman?
Well, as long as Michael doesn't admit it, I won't.
You mean Mr. Durain is a freshman here at Western State, too?
Oh, yes, we're just starting. Both of us are here on the GI Bill of Rights.
He was in the OSS. He can speak 17 languages, including North Manchurian. Show them, darling.
Well,
now about those murder attempts on Professor Kober.
Oh, he's my botany teacher. You see, I used to be in the WAC, but I always really wanted to be a botanist. And I'm doing very well, too.
Show them, darling.
Well, you'd never think it, but plants range from the lower algae to the fungi. Mosses, liverworts, ferns, and gymnosperms. Isn't that terribly thrilling?
Well, not as thrilling as murder, Mrs. Durain.
You know that little thing you mentioned in your letter, remember?
Oh, yes. You see, somebody has already tried to kill Professor Kober several times. And no matter what John says, the things that happened to him weren't just accidents.
No?
Now, the time something went wrong with his car, and he nearly went off the cliff. Or the time somebody almost ran him down when he was crossing a corner. And other things like that.
Well, is there any reason why anybody would want to get rid of the good professor?
Why, don't you know? John's almost succeeded in crossbreeding a terrestrial orchid with an epiphytic one. It'll be the most beautiful flower ever grown.
And for that reason, someone wants to murder him?
Of course. He's almost ready to report it to the Botanical Society. It's to be called Papilionaceous Corolla Louise.
Think of it, Valentine. Louise, just a freshman majoring in botany, is going to have a flower named for her. Could a man want a greater compliment for his wife?
Papilionaceous Corolla Louise as a motive for murder? Brooksy, I think we've got
Oh, you're not taking me seriously either, are you?
I'm afraid you're taking botany a little too seriously, Mrs. Durain.
Mother, I've got to talk to you.
Darling, you might at least close the door. There's a terrible draft.
Is this your son?
Who are these people?
Well, your mother just happened to answer an ad, but we were going to leave anyway.
Well, no, why should you? Everybody knows anyway.
Knows what, Stephen?
All right, I'll qualify it. Everybody knows. Except you, my father.
Please, dear, you're talking to your father.
He knows that, my darling.
George, wouldn't it be better if we...
Wait a minute. I didn't know there was going to be a double feature.
How do you think I feel on the campus when everybody knows I'm a sophomore and my mother and father are freshmen?
Well, that is an interesting setup. Tell me, Stephen, do you do your parents' arithmetic for them?
This is no kidding. Mother, everybody's saying that you and Professor Kober are that way about each other. They see you everywhere together. No son wants to hear that kind of talk about his mother.
Oh, now, wait a minute, son. I'll have you understand your mother's a very attractive woman.
Thank you, Michael. Oh, Stephen, I made some of that potato salad you like so much. It's in the refrigerator.
Oh, it's no use talking to you two.
Oh, Mr. Valentine. We forgot all about Professor Kober.
Did we? I thought he was very prominent in the conversation.
Now, somebody is trying to kill him. Of course, Michael and Stephen won't believe it, but...
But I do. Enough to want to hang around a while and see what this is all about.
Miss Brooks, it's very considerate of the Phi Gamma Epsilon sorority to worry so strenuously about my husband.
Well, naturally, when we girls heard about these threats on Professor Kober's life, we just...
I can just imagine what your hen parties must sound like. I hope your house mother doesn't listen in.
Oh, it wasn't just that, Mrs. Kober. You see, with all this talk about Mrs... Oh, dear, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Why should you be? It's common knowledge on the campus that Mrs. Durain's been throwing herself at my husband. And all this talk about murder attempts has been a figment of this woman's weird imagination.
Oh, and that's all there is to it?
My husband leads a very sheltered academic life. He happens to be engaged in some experiments with flowers. That's hardly provocation for murder.
Oh, no. No, I love flowers myself.
True, he's very handsome for a botany teacher, but childishly unaware of his own charms. That's no cause for murder either.
Of course not.
However, if the professor were aware of his shaggy, masculine attraction and were doing something about it,
yes,
that might be a very understandable cause for murder.
Huh?
Good day, Miss Brooks.
Believe me, Mr. Valentine, these accidents that have been happening to Professor Kober are, well, just that, accidents.
Yes, I know what you mean, Professor Parsworth, but I'm more interested in these experiments Kober's working on. And as head of the department and presumably his boss, you ought to be able to give me that information.
Of course. But I doubt if it could possibly have much interest for the layman. Professor Kober is merely trying to create a new genus of the orchid family.
Uh-huh.
Of course, it'll probably win the valuable American Horticultural Prize. A paper will be written on it, and a few thousand botanists throughout the world will thrill over it. And there will be some academic glory for Professor Kober and Western State University.
Obviously, you have a great deal of respect for Professor Kober.
I have. He's a true genius. I'm merely the head of the botany department. My particular talent is being able to get the money from the trustees so that men like Kober can carry on the experiments and reap the glory.
I see.
There's only one thing we had any conflict about, Kober and I.
Oh, what's that?
The name he insists on giving this flower. The Papilionaceous Corolla Louise.
Oh, the Louise part bothers you, eh?
Hmm.
Yes, I can see that might lead to complications.
No, Miss Brooks, Mr. Valentine. You're not intruding at all. Any friend of Mrs. DeRane's is always welcome in the greenhouse.
Oh, John, I just can't wait till you show them our new flower.
No, I can't wait either. I've heard so much about it.
Well, this way.
I hate to sound like a tourist, Professor Kober, but this greenhouse is more elaborate than any I've ever seen.
Yes, isn't it, my dear? The most modern in the world. I designed it myself.
And we have different rooms for every type of flower, don't we, John? And no end of gadgets.
Louisa's enthusiasm is a constant source of inspiration, but she is right. There is no end of gadgets. I'm afraid only Professor Bosworth and I know where they all are and what they're supposed to do. Now, please come in quickly so that I can close the door.
Well, yeah, but shouldn't we put on a light?
Can't see a thing.
Well, you see, we have no light at all in this room. I had it built especially for this experiment.
Tell them why, John. It's awfully intriguing.
Well, you see, light and cold are the two enemies of the Papilionaceous Corolla. The slightest fall in temperature would mean their death. That's why we have a thermostatic control. Even that is well hidden in the back.
But how did you get to see these beautiful specimens of yours, Professor?
Well, you will. In a minute, after you get used to the dark.
George, I think I'm beginning to see them now. Look, can't you see them glowing?
Yeah. Hey, they're really something.
Mm-hmm. Worth every minute of the 12 years I've spent to get that unearthly perfection and color in the petals.
John says that nature, the most beautiful and dangerous things, thrive in the darkness. Did you say that, John?
Well, I didn't put it as romantically as that, Louise. But with these flowers, it does seem that way. And another thing. You have only to touch them, and that glow comes right off on your fingers. And you can't get rid of it for days.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Well, now I'm afraid we'll have to get to work, Louise. We got that new soil preparation this morning. Let's get on out where it's light.
Oh, dear, and I left the seed chart in my car. I'll be right back, John.
Oh, hurry, my dear. I have to bring in the flats for those seedlings. Oh, Mr. Valentine, why don't you and Miss Brooks stay and see how we work?
Yes, Professor, thanks. That'll be fine. Oh, on the other hand, Brooksy, you stay here. I think I'll give the professor a hand.
Okay, George.
Here, you don't want to do that all alone.
Oh, no need for you to bother, Valentine.
Hey, Professor, look out. Get out of the way, Valentine!
Oh.
That was close. Are you all right?
I wouldn't be if you hadn't pushed me out of the way.
That boulder was coming straight at us.
Yes.
Can you stand up?
I think so. Oh, just a part of it went over my foot.
I think you can see for yourself, Brooksy.
Oh, are you all right, George?
Yes, quite now, Louise.
George, where are you going?
Up this hill. See if this is another one of those accidents.
Oh, I'll help you inside, George. Wait a minute, darling.
Professor Kober nearly got that boulder in the middle of his back. He was bending down over his precious seedlings, a perfect target.
It must have fallen from here.
Yeah, but it didn't just come loose, Brooksy. Look at this.
Property of Western State University. Botanical department.
Yeah, the shovel somebody used to spade up the dirt from under that rock. He had to do it to be able to push it down.
You mean he or she, don't you?
Yeah, Brooksy. What I want to know is, was that boulder meant for the professor or for me?
We'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine in just a moment. Here in the West, winter brings skiing, skating, and tobogganing to a lot of folks, but to the battery in your car, winter brings a heap of extra work. Colder mornings mean harder starting. Longer evenings mean more battery juice for lights. So why not give your battery a helping hand? Get real fast starts and extra power from it. Just pull in at an independent Chevron gas station or a standard station. Being experts at battery service, they can give it more pep than a pup in no time at all. If your battery's got one foot in the grave, they can supply you a new Atlas battery. Each Atlas battery has the number of plates and the certified capacity stamped right on the battery case. And the written warranty you get with a new Atlas battery is good at 38,000 stations 7 days a week. For all your car's battery needs, rely on a standard station or an independent Chevron gas station, where they say and mean, we'll take better care of your car. And now back to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. A huge boulder almost pins a college professor against a tree. Why? He's only interested in developing a new type of orchid. The incident itself is exciting enough, but if you're half as curious as Claire Brooks, what you really want to know is why your boss, George Valentine, thought something like this might happen. Remembering all the strange characters in the case, you're right on George's heels as he enters the Quonset hut on University Road.
Anybody here?
The drains seem to be out, George.
What do you want? What are you doing here?
Oh, just looking for your father and mother, Stephen. We have something to talk about.
Well, go on, find them. I can't. Get out.
Now, that's no way to talk, Stephen.
Why not? Father's out somewhere quoting Homer. My mother's... who knows where she is. Expect to walk in and find me in the best of humor?
Now, listen to me, kid.
I won't, and take your hands off of me.
I said listen to me. Your mother was right when she said someone is trying to kill Professor Kober. We saw it happen again this afternoon.
And he's not dead? What's the matter? Why'd they make such a mess out of it?
Okay, it's no use talking to you.
By the way, when did you get home, Stephen?
I don't see why I have to answer questions like that. Not to strangers. Now, get out of here!
Oh, I really must apologize for my son's manners.
Oh, Mr. Durain.
We didn't hear you come in.
No, I came in the back way. Did I hear you say something about another accident happening to Professor Kober?
Yeah, you heard right.
You needn't look at me that way. I was in the Hodgkins library all afternoon reading Plato's Republic in the original Greek. Believe me, it wasn't easy. A cup of tea, Miss Brooks?
Oh, no, I don't think so, thanks.
It'd be a shame if anything happened to Professor Kober before he won that $50,000 prize.
Is that how much the prize is worth?
Oh, yes. Oh, I see you don't know your flowers, old man.
Where's Louise?
So she called and said she'd be working late again at the greenhouse.
Oh, now look, Durain, I'm as modern as the next guy, but don't you resent your wife spending so much time with another man?
Oh, now, Louise happens to be fond of flowers. I am imbued with the spirit of philosophy. But get one thing straight, Valentine. We're very much in love with each other. Nothing can alter that.
Thanks. That makes a lot of things clear, Durain.
It does?
Sure, Brooksy. Now, come on, we're in a hurry. What's have a look in the orchid room, Brooksy.
I can't see a thing, George.
Give yourself a chance. Remember the flowers that glow in the dark? Professor Kober?
Huh? George! Something on the floor. I just tripped over it. Who is it?
I don't know. I can hardly see. But I think it's the professor. I'm sure this is his top coat.
The one he wore this afternoon?
Yeah. But it's not the professor.
What?
It's a woman.
Louise?
No.
Well, let me see. It's Mrs. Copeland, the professor's wife.
Stabbed in the back with a pair of pruning shears.
Oh, George, I can't look.
I know. How about that theory of mine?
Yes, dear?
You don't have to worry about it anymore. This little piece of mayhem has knocked it all in a cocked hat.
Well, where do we go from here?
We go to the telephone and call Lieutenant Riley.
Well, still running true to form, eh, Valentine? Leave it to you to get murder all mixed up with the professor and flowers that glow in the dark.
Oh, the trouble with you, Lieutenant, is that you think murder only happens to Mr. Average Man.
Yep, I've got no imagination, Miss Brooks. Oh, I could imagine somebody trying to knock off Professor Cooper where there's a prize of 50 G's lurking in the background, but why his wife?
Because she happened to be wearing his coat. You know, somehow, Lieutenant, I hate putting things off until tomorrow morning.
If that's supposed to be an aspersion on the efficiency of the homicide squad, it leaves me cold. What do you expect me to do, slap the whole deranged family in the can?
No, not that, but...
Both the father and the son could have had a gripe against the professor. And if Mrs. Cooper wasn't killed by a mistake, either Louise or the professor could have done it.
George, didn't you have a sort of special theory all cooked up before we found Mrs. Cooper?
Well, Brooksy, unlike the lieutenant, I wasn't hepped on the jealousy angle.
I got here as soon as I could after you called, Valentine. Oh, this is dreadful.
Murder's never very wholesome. Oh, Dr. Bosworth, this is Lieutenant Riley of Homicide.
How are you?
How do you do? When I talked to you before, Valentine, I was convinced that all this was just so much nonsense, but now I see how wrong I've been. Lieutenant.
Yes, Doctor?
How can we go about keeping this as quiet as possible? You know how squeamish trustees are about bad publicity.
Oh, that would be easy, Doctor. Just what do you propose we do? Forget somebody was killed here tonight?
Oh, no, of course not. I suppose I'll just have to issue some dignified announcement.
You make it sound like a wedding, Doctor.
Now, I'd better go and speak to the dean. It's going to be a terrible shock to him after all the years we spent with him college. Oh, Valentine, you'll call me in the morning?
Yeah, sure thing. We're going to be moving along now, too.
Well, what about it, Valentine? Come on, let's get moving. I'm tired. I have to be at the morgue at 8 in the morning.
Let's not worry so much about a night's sleep, eh, Lieutenant?
What? It's my night's sleep you're talking about.
As a tough-minded practical cop, I know you don't subscribe to the bromide so dear to the heart of mystery writers.
Such bromides as?
The murderer returning to the scene of the crime.
Oh, no, not that one, Valentine.
You willing to wait it out and see?
No. What do you take me for? Why, I wouldn't...
You wouldn't what, Lieutenant?
I wouldn't dare take a chance on leaving now. The worst thing about waiting around in the dark is that you can't play gin rummy.
Patience, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Well, if no one shows, darling, the dawn's going to come up like thunder on someone's very red face.
Ooh, you and your subtleties.
You know, I was talking to the commissioner the other day. And said boss, why bother about having a homicide squad when one man like George...
Hey.
Hey, what's that?
Sounds like it comes from the other end of the greenhouse.
This is my day off of pat answers. We'd better go and see.
Wait a minute. Hold it, Valentine. Hold it. There's a lot of glass on the ground here.
Yeah, and whoever indulged himself in this bit of vandalism is off in that car.
Well, we'll never catch up with him.
Okay, Valentine. Something did happen as you said it might. But what was it?
The murderer. He came back to smash this thermostat, see?
Yeah?
But take a chance like that on being caught, George.
Just to smash the devil out of this gadget?
A very important gadget, Lieutenant. It controls the temperature of the greenhouse.
Of course. Professor Cober's flowers.
Yes, and they're dying right now. Brooksy, you and the lieutenant have to keep that from happening.
Me? What do I know about flowers?
When in doubt, just ask Brooksy.
Now, come on, Miss Brooks. Look. Fun is fun, but it's cold in here.
Now, Lieutenant, let me have your shirt.
You already took my jacket.
These flowers have to be kept warm and covered. Even if we just save one of them, it'll mean something.
Yeah. Well, I don't see you giving up much for the cause.
Lieutenant, please.
For the love of Mike. Here. Take the shirt off my back. Oh, I just hope that Valentine knows what he's doing.
We'll find out as soon as he gets back. In the meantime, we have to find something else to put around these flowers.
Well, that's it. No, please, Miss Brooks. No, don't look at me that way, please. I've done enough for the Flower Kingdom tonight.
Oh, you're cute, Lieutenant. But I just happened to remember those burlap bags outside.
All right, Valentine. We sit here in the dark in the orchid room, and the murderer's going to walk in this door and say, "Here I am, take me downtown."
He won't have to say a word, Lieutenant, I hope. Okay, Brooksy, send them in one by one. You can start with Stephen.
Oh, Stephen, will you come in?
Why do we have to go through this? Hasn't my mother caused us enough trouble?
You shouldn't be so critical of your mother, son. Now go over there and sit down. Mr. Durain next, Brooksy.
If you will, please, Mr. Durain.
Isn't this kind of unusual, Valentine? All the darkness? Oh, but of course, as the philosophers have always understood, murder and darkness go together.
Sit next to Stephen, will you? I think you can find your way. Mrs. Durain next.
Valentine, what are you doing? You're not even asking these people any questions.
Durain, I'm so worried about Professor Kruger. He hasn't had a wink of sleep all night.
Over there, Louise, please.
Ye gods.
Go right in, please, Professor Kruger.
Oh, my flowers. You did manage to keep them alive. Look at them. How they glow. How did you do it, Mr. Valentine?
Well, I could tell you, Bud, but I won't.
Sit there, Professor Culver. Oh, Dr. Bosworth, I think you can come in. I believe I know who our murderer is.
I certainly hope so.
And I have you to thank for the answer, Doctor.
Me?
Yes, sir. And I want to shake your hand.
Of course, but...
Hey, look at that guy's hand.
The fingers, the way they shine.
That's right.
Well, what do you know?
Look at his hand, John. It's the pollen from our flower.
But, Bosworth, that couldn't be. You haven't been here for weeks.
Oh, yes, he was. He had to be here when he killed Mrs. Cooper.
Golly, I never imagined Bosworth thought he'd killed the professor.
Well, why else would he have said it would be such a shock to the dean? After all the years the old gentleman spent looking forward
To the end of those experiments. Yeah, sure.
With Cobra gone, Bosworth could finish his work and get all the glory. But first he had to kill those flowers.
Then, using Cobra's notes, it would be easy.
Mm-hmm. I noticed a faint glow on the thermostat control, even in the light.
Well, I was too worried about who was getting away in that car.
You see, only 2 men knew about those elaborate temperature controls in the greenhouse. And Cobra, the true scientist, would rather die than destroy his own brainchild.
Well, that's that. But I don't know how I'll ever be able to feel the same way about a man who almost achieved immortality.
Huh? What?
Well, Professor Cobra was so grateful, he volunteered to call his sensational orchid the Papilionaceous Valentine.
Oh, you two, you know I'm not as beautiful as the fair Louise.
Well, now, that's that's gratitude for you. It was my coat and my shirt that kept those flowers alive.
Oh, he's right at that, George.
All right. From now on, between the 3 of us, it'll be the Papilionaceous Corolla Riley.
Oh, gee.
Bless you.
One of the first things a lady does when she's shopping for clothes is to touch the garment. She judges the texture by feeling it. The hand test will tell you a lot about Atlas grip-safe tires, too. Next time you're at a standard station or an independent Chevron gas station, just press your palm on the tread of a new Atlas tire and feel how it grips your hand. Atlas tires on your car grip the road in the same way, thanks to their special non-skid tread design. That's how they give you quick, straight stops and why Atlas tires are safer on the turns. You can't buy safer driving for yourself and your family. And you can't find a better warranty than the written Atlas warranty. It's good at 38,000 stations in the 48 states and Canada 7 days a week. Why take chances in winter driving? Get Atlas Grip Safe tires tomorrow. Get them at any independent Chevron gas station or standard station where they say and mean, we'll take better care of your car. Next week, when you tune our way for another adventure of George Valentine, you'll find George reading a letter from an old man who says,
Dear Mr. Valentine, I wish to bestow a beautiful and precious gift upon a member of my family, the worthiest one, the rare Wittenberg Bible. You can help me. Kindly call Sunday morning when I can be sure that all of my little family will be home. Signed, Wesley Hart.
Another problem for George. Next Monday night in Murder, It's a Gift. Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Let George Do It stars Robert Bailey as George with Frances Robinson as Claire. Wally Mayer appears as Lieutenant Riley. Tonight's story was written by David Victor and Herbert Little Jr. and directed by Don Clark. Also heard in the cast were Lorene Tuttle as Louise, Jeff Chandler as Michael, Tommy Cook as Stephen, Ted Cornels as Cober, Bay Baker as Lenore, and Herb Rawlinson as Bosworth. The music is composed and conducted by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. As soon as they mentioned that glow-in-the-dark stuff that wouldn't go away for days, I knew that was going to be the key to catching whoever it was going to be caught by the end of the episode. But other than that, a pretty interesting mystery with some flowery prose written in. Okay, don't shoot me for the pun or anything. All right, well, we have one quick comment on iTunes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Tortola writes, these old-time radio detective stories are just great. They take me back to a wonderful time in my life, and I always loved talk radio. These episodes are very diverse, so I get to hear all of the old-time detectives. Not so much mayhem as today's detectives. Love the plots, especially Johnny Dollar, Nero Wolfe, and Sherlock Holmes. Thanks to all those that have made this possible. Well, thank you so much. All right, not a whole lot to get into before today's show, but I do want to briefly let you know about Netflix. I hope everyone enjoyed Terror by Night, a great short little mystery thriller. Came in at under an hour. It's the 11th of the 12 Sherlock Holmes films done for Universal, and the third of 4 that have ended up in the public domain. For the rest, I recommend Netflix. Go to netflix.greatdetectives.net or go to greatdetectives.net, click on the Netflix link, and you can get a 2-week free trial. And they've got a wide variety in their 90,000 titles, including access to all but one of the Rathbone Bruce Sherlock Holmes films. I'm looking forward to Sherlock Holmes Faces Death in a few weeks. All right, well, we're going to get into today's episode of Sherlock Holmes. This one is called The Speckled Band.
This episode from the life of Sherlock Holmes will be transmitted to our men and women overseas by shortwave and through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Petri Wine brings you Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. The Petri family, the family that took time to bring you good wine, invite you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he shared with his old friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And if you don't mind, I'd like to suggest something that you might share with your friends. And that something is a glass of sherry before dinner. Naturally, a glass of Petri California sherry. I say Petri sherry because it's the perfect before-dinner wine. You couldn't think of a better way to begin a meal. That Petri sherry has a beautiful, inviting color, like dark amber. And for flavor, well, you've heard sherry described many times as having a rich, nut-like flavor. But if you want to learn for the first time what those words rich and nut-like really mean, you just taste Petri sherry. It's wonderful. Serve Petri sherry by itself, or serve it with hors d'oeuvres, or those little cocktail sandwiches. And incidentally, if you prefer your sherry dry, not sweet, just ask your wine merchant for Petri Pale Dry Sherry. Well, the important thing to remember is if you want sherry, you want Petri sherry, because that means good sherry. And now let's look in on our genial friend and good host, Dr. Watson. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Bartell. Punctual to the minute, as usual.
Never keep a doctor waiting, I always say. Particularly Dr. Watson.
Draw up a chair, my boy.
Thank you.
That's it.
All ready to tell us the Sherlock Holmes adventure of the Speckled Band, Doctor?
Yes, I'm all ready, Mr. Bartell.
Say, Doctor, just what does a Speckled Band mean?
You wait until I've told you the story, young fellow, my lad. You'll find out for yourself.
Sorry. The floor is all yours, Doctor.
The adventure of the Speckled Band began on a rainy April morning in 1883. An urgent call from one of my patients had kept me up most of the night before, and in consequence, I came down to my breakfast rather later than usual to find that Holmes had already left our house some hours earlier. As I sat there reading the morning paper and consuming my 2 lightly boiled eggs, there was a knock at the door. It opened to disclose a typical example of the British working man, a bag of tools in one hand and a grimy cap in the other, as he spoke to me from the doorway.
You sent for me, Mr. Holmes?
I'm not Mr. Holmes.
Oh, beg your pardon, Governor. But I've come to mend the guest bracket over the mantelpiece.
Oh? What's wrong with it?
I've got a leak in it.
Oh, leak? Well, what's wrong with your work?
Yes, sir. Hope I won't be disturbing you, sir.
No, that's all right, my man. Don't mind me.
Oh, dear. Very untidy man, Mr. Holmes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you can't help noticing the mess this room's in. I've heard say he was as tidy as any when he started. But he learned bad habits from a bloke what lived with him. Dr. Watson, I think his name is.
You impertinent fellow. How dare you talk to me like that? I've got a good... Oh, where does he go to? Here, you come out of there. That's Mr. Holmes's room.
Don't be angry with him, Watson.
What?
Slipping out of these grimy rags into a dressing gown.
Good gracious me. So was you, Holmes. Well, upon my soul, I'd never recognized you, but why the disguise?
A case, my dear Watson, a case. One of those small problems which a trusting public occasionally confides to my investigation. To the British workman, old chap, all doors are open. His costume is unostentatious and his habits are sociable. Tool bag is an excellent passport, and a tawny moustache will secure the cooperation of maids.
But what's the case, Holmes?
Or modest little drama of life in the kitchen, one of those seemingly inconsequential affairs, and yet, Watson, the honor of a duchess is at stake.
Duchess?
Mad world, my master, the mad world. Now I feel a little more comfortable. Let's return to the sitting room, shall we? A strong cup of tea would be just acceptable.
Oh, I wish you'd tell me about the Duchess and life in the kitchen, Holmes.
Some other time, old fellow, some other time. At the moment, suppose you tell me what you know about Miss Helen Stoner. I received a letter from her this morning in which she informed me that she would be calling here at 11, and also that she was a friend of yours.
Helen Stoner? Oh, yes. A charming girl indeed.
Pour me a cup of tea, Watson, and tell me about her.
Well, I befriended her at the time of the tragic death of her sister 2 years ago. I told you about the case, don't you remember? The sudden death of Violet Stoner at an old house in Stoke Moran.
Oh, yes. It all comes back to me now. There was an inquest, wasn't there, with a string of stupid, ineffective witnesses.
Huh? I was one of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, old fellow. Then you were the exception, of course. Wait a minute. Let me see. I docketed the evidence on the case. Where is it? My scrapbook. Here we are. Let me see. Yes, S. Salisbury, Hatchet, Murder, Lordson, Simon. Here we are. Stoke Moran. Yes, I remember the affair well now. The villain of the piece was Dr. Grimsby Roylott, wasn't he?
Yes, a dreadful fellow. He's the stepfather of the two girls. Violet, the one that died so mysteriously. Helen, the one who's coming here to see you.
Dr. Roylott has a pretty record. 55 years of age, killed his kit McGar in India, once in an insane asylum, married money, wife died, distinguished surgeon. Well, Watson, I wonder what the distinguished surgeon has been up to now.
Oh, some deviltry, I fear.
Why do you say that?
You remember that Miss Violet Stoner's death followed close upon the announcement of her engagement?
Yes.
Well, I met Miss Helen Stoner on the streets a few weeks ago. She told me that she'd just become engaged to a young fellow in the army who was leaving for the Far East. She was very upset at the thought of being alone with her stepfather at Stoke Moran.
Oh, naturally it was. Dr. Roylott stands to lose a considerable sum of money in the event of his stepdaughter's marriage.
Yes, they both had a trust fund which he administered only as long as the girls were unmarried. That fact was brought out at the coroner's inquest 2 years ago. But if Roylott did poison the other stepdaughter, and I'm pretty convinced that he did, it seems unlikely that he'd try it again. 2 sudden deaths in the same household could hardly pass the coroner.
Oh, no, my dear Watson. You're making the mistake of putting your normal brain into Roylott's abnormal being.
Oh, that must be Miss Stoner now.
Yes, let me see. It's precisely 11 o'clock. Well, let's see what we can do for her.
Well, I hope you can help her, Holmes. She's an extremely nice girl.
Come in. Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
There's a Miss Helen Stoner to see you, sir. She says she has an appointment.
Show her in, please, Mrs. Hudson.
Aye, sir. Come in, my dear.
Thank you.
Miss Stoner, I'm so glad to see you again.
How do you do, Dr. Watson? And this must be your friend.
Yes, Miss Stoner, I'm Sherlock Holmes. Sit down by the fire, won't you?
Yes, please do, my dear. Hello, you're trembling with cold.
It's not cold that makes me shiver. Tell me, Mr. Holmes, has my stepfather, Dr. Grimsby Roylott, been here?
No, he hasn't.
He saw me in the street. I dashed by him in a hansom cab, but he saw me. Our eyes met and he waved me to stop, but I came here as fast as I could.
Very sensible move. Dr. Watson has already given me several hints as to your present problem, as well as having refreshed my memory as to the circumstances of your sister's death.
My problem is a simple enough one, Mr. Holmes. I'm waiting to be murdered.
No, my dear
please
girl.
be a trifle more explicit, Miss Stoner.
Very well, Mr. Holmes. My fiancé is leaving for the Far East today. When he leaves, I shall be alone with my stepfather at Stoke Moran. He plans to murder me just as he murdered my sister.
What makes you say that, Miss Stoner?
Many strange things have happened recently. For instance, he's just moved me into the bedroom in which my sister died.
Well, what reason did he give for changing your room?
That my old one needed repainting. It didn't need it, but Dr. Roylott did need to move me into that horrible room. And other things have happened. I've heard the music again.
Music? What music?
My sister first heard it a few days before she died. I heard it myself on that dreadful night she breathed her last. Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm terrified.
Don't worry, my dear. Please don't worry anymore. You have friends to help you now. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No, of course not.
Now, this music. Does it seem to come from inside the house or outside?
Well, it's hard to say. It sounds so faint.
What's it like?
A sort of soft droning sound.
Like a flute or a pipe?
Yes, it reminds me of native music I heard during my childhood in India.
India, eh?
There's one other thing that puzzles me, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, what's that?
My sister's dying words. As she lay in my arms, she gasped out 2 words.
Oh, what were they?
Banned and speckled. You remember that evidence from the inquest, don't you, Dr. Watson?
Yes, I do. I couldn't make head or tail of it. No?
Banned, speckled, Indian music. Miss Stoner, do you sleep with your door and windows fastened?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, but so did poor Violet. It didn't save her, though.
What did you gather from your sister's dying allusion to the band, the speckled band?
Well, sometimes I thought it was merely the wild talk of delirium, and sometimes that it referred to a band of people.
Oh, yes.
I remember that there were some gypsies encamped quite near us at the time of Violet's death.
Gypsies, eh?
Yes, and it occurred to me that the spotted, gaily coloured kerchiefs, which so many of them wear over their heads, might have suggested the unusual adjective which my sister used.
Miss Stoner, how long is it since you heard this strange music that you've told us about?
I heard it last night.
Your fiancé leaves today, you say?
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Well, Miss Turner, I shall do everything I can to help you. If we were to come to Stoke Moran today, would it be possible to see over your rooms without the knowledge of your stepfather?
I think so. He told me this morning that he intended to take a late train home tonight.
Ah, that's splendid. Watson, out with the timetable, old fellow, and look up the trains to Stoke Moran.
All right, you are, Holmes.
That's my stepfather. I know it is. Oh, yes. Yes, there he is on the doorstep. Oh, Mr. Holmes, he's followed me. Oh, what shall I do if he finds me here?
Don't worry, Miss Stoner. Please don't worry. There's a private exit through that room there. Watson, show her the way, will you?
Come along with me, my dear young lady.
And you will come down today, Mr. Holmes?
Certainly, my dear Miss Stoner. I'll telegraph you the time of our arrival. Goodbye and courage, my dear.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes, and thank you.
Come along, Miss Stoner, quickly.
Come in. Yes, Mrs. Hudson?
It's a gentleman, sir. I told him you wouldn't see anyone without an appointment, but he...
Out of the way, woman.
Now push me like that. I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes.
That's all right, Mrs. Hudson. You can leave us.
What kind of gentleman does he call himself pushing an old lady?
So you're Sherlock Holmes.
You have the advantage of me, sir. Your name is,
My name, sir, is Roylott. Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran.
Oh, yes, of course. A charming place out here, and obviously good for the lungs.
You won't trifle with me if you know what's good for you.
Watson, there you are. And how was the experiment?
Very successful, Holmes. Good day to you, Dr. Roylott. I haven't seen you since I gave evidence at your stepdaughter's inquest.
Yes, I remember you, Dr. Watson. Now listen to me, you two. My stepdaughter's been here. I placed her. What's she been saying to you?
A little cold for this time of the year, isn't it?
You answer me!
I hear that the crocuses promise well.
You dare to try and put me off, do you? I know you, you scoundrel. You're Holmes the meddler.
Am I?
Holmes the busybody.
I believe that a man should occupy his time.
Holmes the Scotland Yard Jack in office.
When you go out, close the door, won't you? There's a draft.
I'll go when I've had my say. Keep your nose out of my affairs, do you hear?
Oh, yes. My hearing is excellent, thank you, and your diction and delivery most forceful. But time flies, my dear doctor. Time flies, and life has its duties as well as its pleasures. Goodbye.
Insolent rascal. Here. See this poker?
Oh, the fire doesn't need poking, thank you, Doctor. But I should be obliged if you'd put some more coal on for me.
You laugh at me. You don't know my strength. Look. There. Your poker's bent double. And that's what I'll do to both of you. If you don't keep out of my affairs.
I had a presentiment that he'd slam the door.
Phew. He's an ugly customer, eh, Holmes?
Literally as well as figuratively. Watson, I'd be much obliged if you get your revolver. It may prove to be an excellent argument with a gentleman who twists iron pokers into knots.
The fellow's amazingly strong. Just look at it.
I don't want to appear flamboyant, but, there we are.
Great Scott, Holmes. You straightened the poker out again.
Yes, it was utterly useless in its former shape. And now Watson, the timetable will catch the next fast train to Stoke Moran.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm so relieved that you've come. But don't you think my stepfather might have followed you down here?
Let's take that chance, Miss Stoner. A few hours' delay might mean the difference between our life and death. It was imperative that we examine this bedroom of yours before Dr. Roylott returns.
Anyway, my dear, you mustn't worry any more. We're here in your house, and we're going to take good care of you, no matter what harm befalls you.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
So this is the room in which your sister died, is it? It's much as I pictured it.
And Dr. Roylott's room adjoins this one, you say, Miss Turner?
Yes, Doctor, on that side. The room which adjoins it on the other side is my regular bedroom.
The one that's being so conveniently painted, eh?
Yes.
Well, let's examine this room. No trapdoors or sliding panels, I suppose.
It sounds solid enough, Holmes.
Yes, I think it is. Hello, what's this? Are you aware that this bed is clamped to the floor, Miss Stoner?
Why, no, Mr. Holmes, I didn't know that.
What an extraordinary thing.
Was the bed in your other room anchored also?
No, I don't think it was.
Very illuminating. And this bell pull hanging against the wall above your bed.
Oh, that, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, but if you want to ring.
There's another one on the other wall over there.
Now, why this one?
Well, I don't know. My stepfather made a number of changes after we came here.
Yes, quite a burst of activity, apparently. And it took some strange shapes.
Why are you standing on the bed, Holmes?
I'm curious, my dear fellow. Aha. It may interest you to know that this bell rope is fastened to a brass hook. There's no wire attachment. It's a dummy.
A dummy? But why?
There's a small screen above it. It's a ventilator, I suppose.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
Yes. A ventilator leading into your stepfather's room. Curious. I notice there's no means of opening the ventilator on this side. It can only be operated from your stepfather's room next door. I wonder if you'd mind taking us in there.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. Follow me.
What do you make of it, Holmes?
There's devil's work afoot, old chap.
Here we are, Mr. Holmes.
It's much the same as the other room. A bit bigger, perhaps.
That large safe against the wall seems to be an unusual piece of bedroom furniture. What is it, Miss Stoner?
My stepfather's business papers.
Oh, yes.
You've seen inside it, then?
Only once, some years ago. I remember that it was full of documents.
What's this saucer of milk doing on top of it? Does Dr. Roylott keep a cat?
No, but he does have a cheetah and a baboon as pets. He brought them with him from India.
Well, Holmes, a cheetah is just a big cat.
True, but I doubt if a saucer of milk would go very far in satisfying the appetite of a cheetah. Well, I think I've seen enough. This matter is too serious for hesitation. Your life may depend upon your following of my instructions, Miss Homer.
I'll do anything you say, Mr. Holmes, anything.
Is that village inn I see through the trees from this window?
Yes, the Queen's Arms.
Your bedroom windows would be visible from there.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
Very well, then. Watson and I will go there now and obtain accommodations. When your stepfather returns, you must confine yourself to your room on the pretense of a headache. You follow me?
Perfectly.
When Dr. Roylott returns for the night, you must open your bedroom window and put your lamp on the sill as a signal to us at the inn. Then withdraw quietly to your usual bedroom, the one that's being painted. I'm sure that you could manage there for one night.
Of course. But what will you do?
When we get your signal, Dr. Watson and I will come here and spend the night in your dead sister's room. We are going to solve this mystery of the dummy bell rope and the unusual ventilator and the strange music in the night.
You'll hear the remainder of Dr. Watson's story in just a second, so I'm just going to point out that at any really important dinner, like when diplomats get together, you'll find wine on the table. Because for years it's been a known fact that good wine makes good food taste better. Prove that to yourself tomorrow night by having your dinner together with a glass of Petri wine. If you prefer a red wine for any meat or meat dish, try a Petri California Burgundy. That rich, hearty red Petri Burgundy is really out of this world. Now, if you'd rather have a subtle, intriguing white wine, let's say to go with chicken or fish, then try Petri California Sauterne. But Sauterne or Burgundy, to make sure it's good, make sure it's Petri, won't you? Well, Doctor, it's a rattling good story so far. What happened next? You went to the local inn, I guess, and waited for that lantern to appear in the bedroom window at Dr. Roylott's house?
That's right, Mr. Bartell. We had an early dinner at the Queen's Arms and then retired to our upstairs bedroom and sat there side by side, puffing away at our pipes, our eyes straining through the darkness for that telltale lantern to give us a signal that there was dangerous work ahead for us. As we sat there discussing the various aspects of the case, I remember that Holmes was very concerned about my own safety.
Watson, I really have some scruples about taking you with me tonight. This is an infernally dangerous business.
What about that poor girl, alone in the house with that fiend Roylott?
I can handle the case by myself, old chap.
I'm coming with you, Holmes. You speak of danger. We haven't seen more in those rooms than was visible to me.
No, but possibly I've deduced a little more, and I imagine you saw all that I did.
No, I saw nothing remarkable except the bell rope, and what purpose that could answer, I confess, is more than I can imagine.
You saw the ventilator, too.
Yes, but I don't think it's such an unusual thing to have an opening between two rooms. It's so small that a mouse could hardly pass through it.
True, but at least you will admit there was a curious sequence of coincidences. A ventilator is constructed. A bell cord is hung from it. A lady sleeps in a bed directly below the ventilator, a bed that is anchored to the floor. The lady dies.
Well, I begin to see what you're driving at, Holmes. Look. There's the lantern in Miss Toner's window.
It's our signal, all right. Come on, Watson. Our night's vigil begins.
What a foul night.
Foul night for foul business, Watson. Come on, through these laurel bushes. It's only another 50 yards from the house.
Yes, the lantern's still burning away in the bedroom window.
Yes, all the other lights are out.
Including the one in Dr. Roylott's room. He must have gone to sleep.
To bed, possibly, Watson, but not, I think, to sleep.
Great heavens, Holmes. Look at that frightful creature leaping about in the moonlight. It looks like some hideous child.
That's Dr. Roylott's pet baboon.
But it looks positively human.
Yes, probably a great deal more so than its master. They're directly below the window now. This ivy provides a most convenient ladder. I'll go up first.
Careful, Holmes, careful. Wait a minute. I hope the thing's strong enough to to hold us both. He looked pretty stupid on our backs and in the mud. Give me a hand, will you, Holmes? I can't quite get my leg up over this window ledge. Oh, thanks, old boy. Oh, say, phew.
Now to close the window shutters.
This room looks exactly like the same as it did this afternoon.
The sound would be fatal to our plans. Keep the lamp covered, so that if the ventilator is open from Dr. Roylett's room, no light will show from in there. That's it.
Why are you carrying that stick, Holmes?
I'm prepared for a visitor that I expect before the night is over. A visitor who will herald his entrance with faint music from an Indian pipe.
You mean the music is a signal?
Exactly, old fellow. The signal to an accomplice who can enter a room with locked doors, an accomplice who kills and leaves no trace.
You mean that...
Shh, no more talking, Watson. I'll sit on the edge of the bed here. You sit on that chair. Have your revolver ready in case you should need it.
Right you are.
Have the lantern ready, too. When I shout now, turn the light full on the top of the bell rope. You understand?
Yes, perfectly.
Good. Now we must wait. Perhaps for some time. But don't go to sleep, Watson. Don't go to sleep. Your very life may depend on it. Watson.
Yes?
You're not smoking, are you?
No, Holmes.
I smell tobacco smoke.
Must be drifting through the ventilator.
Exactly. Dr. Roylett is up.
Look. There's a tiny shaft of light showing up in the ventilator.
Shh.
Listen. There's the music.
Yes. Heralding the messenger of death. Have your lantern ready, Watson.
Now, Watson, now! Great heavens, it's a snake slithering down the bell rope. You can't get it with that stick, Holmes. Out of the way. Let me get a shot at it.
I'm going to drive it back the way it came. Get out.
There it goes. Back through the ventilator. Oh. What a fiendish plan. Cut, what's that?
I think the devil has turned on its master. Come on, Watson. Into Dr. Roylett's room. Dr. Roylett! Dr. Roylett! Doctor!
Good Lord, Holmes. Look at him sprawled on the bed. Look at his eyes.
Yes. And see what is coiled around his forehead.
It's the snake.
Yes, the band. The Speckled band.
He's dead, Holmes.
Yes. He's been bitten by the deadliest snake in the world. The Indian swamp adder. Deadly fangs produce death within 10 seconds. Well, Watson, violence does in truth recoil upon the violent. And the schemer falls into the pit which he digs for another.
What should we do now, Holmes?
We must remove the macabre headgear from the dead doctor and return the snake to its den. And I suggest that we tell Miss Stoner that there's no more danger under this roof. After that, we can turn the matter over to the local police. Our work is done.
Holmes, Dr. Watson, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you brought me back into Baker
Miss
Street.
Stoner, it would have been inhuman to leave you in that house of horror and death. We have a spare bedroom, and Mrs. Hudson is a motherly and understanding woman, and I can assure you that Dr. Watson and I will be delighted to have you stay with us here until you've decided on your future plans.
Yes, of course we will, my dear. As a matter of fact, it'd be rather refreshing to have a touch of youth about the place.
You're both so kind. Mr. Holmes, I think it's wonderful how you foiled my stepfather's devilish plans.
Yes, wasn't it a remarkable example of logical deduction?
No, it wasn't, old fellow. At first, your mention of the gypsies, Miss Stoner, and the use of the word band put me on an entirely wrong scent. However, when we examined the fatal room, I drew the obvious conclusion.
You mean the dummy bell rope, the ventilator, and the immovable bed?
Yes, old fellow. It instantly gave rise to the suspicion that the rope was there as a bridge for something coming through the ventilator and traveling to the bed. I once thought of a snake. When I saw the saucer of milk on top of the safe, my suspicions crystallized into certainties.
Oh, it was a fiendish plot.
Yes, an extremely clever one, too.
Exactly.
My stepfather must have trained the snake to return to him when he played the music.
Yes, he put it through the ventilator with the certainty that it would crawl down the rope and land on the bed. It might or might not bite the occupant. Perhaps she might escape every night for a week, but sooner or later she must fall a victim.
Thank heaven I came to you, Mr. Holmes.
Amen to that, Miss
You know,
Stoner.
Holmes, if you hadn't lashed at the snake with your stick, I bet it wouldn't have turned back on its master.
True, old chap. In that way, I am no doubt indirectly responsible for Dr. Grimsby Roylett's death. But I can't say it's a fact that's likely to weigh too heavily on my conscience.
Doctor, that was quite a fascinating story. You know something? I'm not exactly a coward, but no kidding, my toes really curl when I get mixed up with snakes.
Oh, you're not alone in that respect, Mr. Bartell. I must admit that I like to have a revolver and at least 20 feet between me and any snake that wants to cross my path.
Well, if you want a revolver in 20 feet, I'll take a cannon in 20 miles.
It's fortunate that you're a wine expert, Mr. Bartell, not a detective. I'm afraid you wouldn't, shall we say, find detecting to your liking?
We certainly shall say it. And incidentally, I'm not a wine expert, Doctor. All I know about wine is that it either tastes good or it doesn't. And I also know that Petri wine always tastes good. The Petri family sees to that. The name Petri on the label is the personal assurance of the Petri family that every drop of wine in that bottle is good wine. And they know how to make it good because they've been making fine wine for generations. Handing down from father to son, every secret, every skill of the winemaker's art. Yes, the Petri family took time to bring you good wine. That's why, no matter what type of wine you wish, you can't go wrong with a Petri wine. Well, Dr. Watson, what new Sherlock Holmes story are you planning to tell us next
Well,
week?
now, let me see. Now, next week, Mr. Bartell, I think I'll tell you an adventure that took place at a gambling casino in the south of France. It's a strange story of sudden tragedy and death. I call it The Adventure of the 00.
Sounds swell. We'll all be listening.
Here now, Mr. Bartell, before I go, I want to say that every one of our friends bought war bonds to help our boys win the war. And now let's all buy victory bonds to help bring our boys back home again. Yes, and let's buy victory bonds to make sure that the men who were wounded will get the finest possible care. Those same victory bonds will help make the GI Bill of Rights a success, too. And they'll help provide for the families of those men who gave everything, including their lives. The men of our armed forces finished their job. Now let's finish ours. Buy victory bonds.
Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and is an adaptation of the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. Music is by Dean Fossler. Mr. Rathbone appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and Mr. Bruce through the courtesy of Universal Pictures, where they are now starring in the Sherlock Holmes series. The Petri Wine Company of San Francisco, California, invites you to tune in again next week, same time, same station. This is Harry Bartell saying good night for the Petri family. Sherlock Holmes comes to you from our Hollywood studios. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. This wasn't the first time that Rathbone and Bruce had done the Speckled Band. In fact, on some websites, this particular episode is mislabeled as the 1943 performance of the Speckled Band. I was kind of thrown off by Harry Bartell being in there, but then what really gave me the clue that this was not from a 1943 episode when I first listened to it, was the talk about the victory bonds at the end. Which would put it as the 1945 presentation. So I've been waiting to bring this to you for a long time because this is a great episode. And here you see the real genius of the original Doyle stories and just that great chemistry between Rathbone and Bruce. That makes these stories come alive so well. Well, we've got a little bit of a buildup of comments, not too many, because we recorded Last 2 day shows on the same day, before we normally do it, so we could do our presentation to the Mystery Writers group. Things went okay. I did realize I probably shouldn't have cut out so soon. I had some homework to get to, but I had a nice talk. We talked about a lot of different types of detective shows, and one gentleman there was actually pretty interested in A Life in Your Hands. So always good to help people discover a new show. Well, before we do get started, I have a comment from Podcast Alley that leads right into the ad. It comes from Heidi. Hi, Adam. Just bought a ticket using JohnnyDollarAir.com. Not only was it the best price, but I was happy I could support my favorite podcast. Well, thanks so much, Heidi. And as you make your travel plans, just remember to check JohnnyDollarAir.com first. It provides you the flexibility of being able to name your own price, or being able to choose from published fares, and you do help to support the great detectives of old-time radio. Now we're going to get into a very unique episode of Johnny Dollar. This one is called The 85 Little Minks.
Time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Dollar.
Shut up, Dad, and get your gumshoes on, Johnny. You're going to be busy.
Who's this?
Ed Bonner, and I'm calling you from Hartford. Heard you were in Boston this week. Get over to the Elwood Faber department store right away.
Oh, call me later, Ed. Will you? It's still 8 o'clock in the morning.
We got $300,000 worth of liability insurance on their fur department.
Sure, later.
Now they haven't got a fur department anymore. Just had 85 minks stolen.
What?
Edmund O'Brien, in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Mr. Ed Bonner, Mutual Liability Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures incurred during investigation of burglary affecting policy issued to Elwood Faber Department Store, Boston, Massachusetts, or the 85 Little Minks. Expense account. Items. $1.90. Taxi fare to Stewart Street entrance of Elwood Faber Department Store, where a police emergency ambulance was standing open. 2 police officers were helping a man in a white coat load a blanket-wrapped figure onto the ambulance litter. I got my first information from the intern.
Ah, what's up? Oh, I only work the wagon. I pick up where everything else left off. Guy's name's Cronin. He's a night watchman here.
Dead?
Oh, about an inch away. We already gave him a transfusion upstairs. If the bullets don't kill him, the exposure will.
What does that mean?
Besides holes in his chest, he's also got frostbite. Somebody plugged him, let him lay in the cold storage vault where they keep the furs.
How long ago?
Oh, who knows? All right, Percy, wind it up. Let's get out of here.
An assorted group of reporters and cameramen seemed to be converging toward a freight elevator just inside the store entrance. I converged with them, and we all rode up to the 5th floor, where 2 plainclothesmen from burglary detail stopped us. I showed my ID card, argued for 5 minutes, and finally got a frown and a thumb jerk. I walked across 35 yards of expensive carpeting through a cubbyhole office door into a large room. Standing in front of a huge refrigerated vault was a tall man in a black Stetson. His name was Delaney. We shook hands.
Quite a thing, Dollar. Some guys walked out of here last night with 85 mink coats. It's a mess. You got a cigarette?
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Thanks. Door's going to be closed all day while the burglary squad goes over it with everything they got. You can do what you have to do, too.
Thanks, Lieutenant. I appreciate it. What do you figure, freight elevator or stairs?
Either or both. I don't know. They must have had a panel truck or a big limo in that alley.
Yeah, I noticed that on my way up. You'd keep any car hidden from the street and they'd be able to work without being bothered.
I got a man coming down to check for tire tracks, but it won't do any good. Whoever they were, they did it quiet and they did it neat.
Neat? Yeah. But quiet?
Yeah, you mean that night watchman, Cronin?
Well, there must have been some noise when he walked into them and got shot.
I hope he lives to tell us something. He's in tough shape.
How about this?
The vault? Just like the banks have, only smaller. And you can also hang meat in it. Not pried or blasted or cut into, just plain old-fashioned tumbler work.
Sandpapered fingers and all.
That wouldn't surprise me. Somebody was plenty good. Not even marks of a jimmy or pry tool to feel an edge. Just picked and plucked as nice as you please, and 14 little tumblers fell back. And the door swung open.
I thought that kind of thing stopped with Jimmy Valentine.
Yeah, so did I.
Who reported it?
A guy named Dmitri Stroganoff, manager of the fur department. Come on. He's in his office now giving a statement of couple of my boys. You can have a listen in. There's your pigeon, Donna. 80 of you.
Aha! Lieutenant Delahanty.
Mr. Stroganoff, this is Mr. Dollar. He represents your insurance company.
Oh, your acquaintanceship, Mr. Dollar, above all else I am glad to make. Aha! 85 mean coats valued at $300,000, coin of the realm. You have, of course, brought check for sale, yes?
No.
What?
The adjuster will do that, Mr. Stroganoff. I'm an investigator, but don't worry.
Week by week, month by month, 14 years, I get 2 words from the insurance company. 2 words, pay premium. Now it's Stroganoff's turn to say back is 2 words. Pay Stroganoff.
Believe me, Mr. Stroganoff, your money's waiting for you in a vault in a bank in Hartford where nobody can get it but you.
Whoa, ba, pa.
I suppose you go right on with your statement, Mr. Stroganoff. We have to have it, you know.
Why is my ace for Mink in this direction? I answer you. Customer telephones Friday. Send over Mink coat right away, she says. I send. Night comes, she wears coat to party. To breakfast next morning, she's also wearing coat, maybe eggs she's eating. To party Saturday and to cocktail Sunday also. Monday? Aha. My husband does not like coat. I'm sending back, she says. Mink.
Real tough, Mr. Stroganoff. You can never tell what people will do next.
Dmitri Stroganoff can tell.
Look, if you'll just answer a few questions.
This morning, even as I arrive, comes to me a feeling of doom. Yes.
Yes. Well, now about...
Something is going to happen bad, I say to myself. And when I get here, no, even before I get here, I slip and fall. No, even before that. Parking ticket for too long fast. No, even before that.
He went on like that for quite a while. And the police stenographer took down every word. His whole testimony typed up into 23 single-spaced pages. But only the following was of any use. Stroganoff arrived at the store at approximately 8:45, found the vault door open and inside the wounded watchman Cronin. Also, the mink coats gone. Stroganoff notified insurance company. Stroganoff notified police in that order. Expense account, item. $1.35 for 2 ham sandwiches, 2 bottles of beer, all of which I shared with Lieutenant Delaney in Stroganoff's office.
There are all kinds of heists. Jewels, trucks, cars, banks. But this is the best so far. A real 14-carat double-breasted A1 dilly, that's what it is, Dollar. How'd they get in that safe?
They just opened it up and walked in the same way you walk in your own front door, Lieutenant.
But how? Who's that good?
Who? Well, there's the creepy kid. They always say he's that good.
You and me both know Creepy died 12 years ago at Dunamore.
And there was Dancing Dan Marathon.
Dancing Dan? He couldn't open a 2-bit padlock if he had the key. Who is good, Johnny? Who could do it?
I wish I knew.
Stroganoff's the only one in the store who knows the combo. The only one. But I don't know.
But you aren't taking any chances. Didn't I see 2 of them and tail them out of here?
You bet your life you didn't. And by the way, didn't you put in a call to your office and have him checked on?
You bet your life I did.
Cop work. All the time we got... Delaney. Yeah, hi, Richard. I'll give it to him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks. Hospital, Don.
The night watchman?
Cronin died 10 minutes ago without saying a word.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping he'd be able to fill in some gaps.
Well, he does. At least one.
Which one?
The other watchman's story about playing the radio.
Yeah. What other watchman?
Al Reedy. Oh, I'm sorry, Dollar. Maybe you passed him on.
Well, tell me about him. Was he shot too?
No. We questioned him first thing this morning. You see, Cronin made the rounds, and Reedy held down the office. Reedy didn't know nothing about anything last night. He was listening to his radio in his office downstairs.
What gap does that fill?
And Doc says Cronin got it with a .32. Well, it fit. They don't make much noise, and a man leaning into a radio close.
Reedy, huh? Well, where can I find him?
Right here. He's waiting in the locker room. Right, you want to talk to him?
Yeah. Mind?
Oh, help yourself, Dollar.
Thanks.
Dollar.
Yeah?
You're looking for $300,000 worth of mink coats. I'm looking for a killer. Don't be a wise guy when you do your poking around, huh?
I'll try to keep my nose clean, Lieutenant. Yeah? Hello. You Al Reedy?
You another cop?
In a way, yeah.
In what way?
Insurance investigator.
All right, Mr. Insurance Investigator. Am I supposed to tell you something that'll tip the whole thing?
No, Mr. Night Watchman, you're just supposed to tell me how things went for you last night.
Well, I sat in my office from 10 to 6 when Home went to bed. Got picked up by 2 big flat-footed coppers at 7:30. And here I am. How'd things go with you last night?
You sound a little put out, Reedy. Or are you used to places being heisted where you work?
What kind of a nasty crack is that?
What'd you see in here last night while you were doing all your night watching?
Nothing.
No freight elevator moving?
No.
No sounds on the stairs?
No.
And you didn't hear the shots that plugged Cronin?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because I sit in my office and listen to disc jockeys. The radio's liable to smother a lot of noise.
Wrong answer.
Well, the cops like it.
I don't.
Give me a better one.
I'll have to look for it. But I'll find it, mister.
Show you. But you'll never find those guys who tromped off with those coats last night.
You sound awful sure of that.
I am. Because you'll spend all your time on someone like me trying to make something out of nothing just to show everybody how good you are.
Reedy, if you're clean, you haven't got anything to worry about.
Well, maybe, but answer me this. Who's going to say when a guy's clean? When he's right or wrong? A lot of filing cabinets in a building somewhere? Answer me, investigator. Who knows? Who's going to say? Let me alone. Just let me alone.
I didn't know what to make of Al Reedy, but I did know I wanted to know more about him. At the personnel office, I pulled out his application card. It looked good enough, and then I suddenly put it back. I had a hunch, and I headed for the Middleton Safe Company. The president and chief designer of the Middleton Safe Company was standing under a blue light in the center of a newly completed vault. He seemed lost in the huge room of shiny, gleaming metal all around him.
Please excuse me for not receiving you in my office, Mr. Dollar.
Inspection day?
Yes, something like that. Now, this is what I call the big haze. Beautiful, isn't he? Completed a fortnight ago for the firm of South American bankers.
You work on the safes and vaults yourself, Mr. Middleton.
Indeed I do. The drama that captured me is in youth. To compose and weld and conform matter into an impregnable stronghold. Oh, it's fascinating, huh?
Yes, of course.
Fine metal, case-hardened, perfectly alloyed Ohio steel. Strength, Mr. Dollar. Strength. But then I bore you, sir. And now then, why are we meeting?
So you can tell me something about safes and vaults, Mr. Middleton?
Oh, I dare say I could, sir. But I'm afraid you'll have to be more specific.
All right. Tell me about the kind of vault you manufactured for the Elwood Faber department store.
A vault? Oh, yes, the fur vault. Oh, yes, of course. What precisely do you wish to know about that vault?
How someone could open it without knowing the combination.
Oh, an impossible occurrence.
Have you read the morning papers?
Papers? What about them?
That particular vault was opened last night and all the furs taken.
What do you say? Looted? Well, that's impossible.
It happened. That's why I'm here.
This is quite a... Oh, dear me, Mr. Dollar. Of course, you'll want a thorough account from my organization.
Of course.
And I shall be glad to furnish you with any information that might be helpful.
I'd like to know how the combination was set and who knows it.
But I'd have to know the serial numbers on that particular vault.
Yes, try these.
Oh, well, you're a very efficient man, Mr. Dollar. I see you've jotted them down. Well, let's go up to my office and look them up. Oh, no, sir. That won't be necessary. I recognize these serials. D4536. Oh, D stands for Dana. Mr. Dana set the final combination.
Mr. Dana?
My chief engineer for years.
And who else besides him would know it?
Myself and the person in proper authority at Elwood Faber, of course.
Well, that would be Stroganoff. Anyone else here?
No, sir.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Dana, then.
Well, I'm afraid that's quite impossible.
Oh?
Albert Dana has been dead for 7 years.
Up to and including that point, I had a whole lot of nothing to go on. But by the time I got back to Boylston Street, heading for my hotel, things began to happen. A police car pulled up at the curb, and a familiar Stetson on top of a familiar head leaned out of the window.
Hey, Dollar, you.
Yeah, hello, Delaney.
Hop in. Just come by to get you. I thought you might be interested in a guy.
What guy?
You know, one we found floating down the Charles River an hour ago.
Who is it?
I don't know. But it looked like he's got the same enemies as a night watchman named Cronin.
Huh?
Yeah. There were 232 slugs in him. We wouldn't have picked it so fast, only that's the second pair been through ballistics in one day.
And they match?
Like your two front feet. The same gun killed the night watchman and the guy in the river.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Johnny Dollar. But first, it's a family night on the Bing Crosby Show again this Wednesday. Brother Bob and Bing's son Gary already have scored with the Groner this month. And tomorrow night, Bing's 14-year-old twins, Philip and Dennis, make their debut as a guest team. You'll hear the kids trying to sell Dad a membership in the Bing Crosby Fan Club, a scheme that backfires. And you'll hear some rare and wonderful scenes. CBS cordially invites you to hear the Bing Crosby Show this Wednesday and every Wednesday over most of these same CBS stations. Now with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
I spent half the night at the city morgue and police headquarters with Lieutenant Delaney, examining the body they found in the Charles River and trying to identify him. All the labels were ripped out of his clothes and the laundry marks were cut off. We were left with just his physical characteristics and fingerprints. The mug file didn't duplicate him, and the prints didn't check with anything in town, so they sent them to the FBI in Washington. I got to my hotel at 4 a.m. to get some sleep, and I got it. 3 of the shortest hours' worth I ever had.
Dollar?
I'll tell her when he comes in.
That Bonner, Johnny, how would you like to be fired?
Huh? Oh, yeah, Mr. Bonner, sir. What can I do for you?
Turn up with 85 mink coats. What have you been doing since yesterday? Sleeping?
Bonner, I've run my legs down to my knees, honest. I've been trying to find out something, anything. I've peeked into so many corners, I've got television eyes.
And I've got a weak heart. Unless we find those furs in 24 hours, we have to pay off Elwood Faber $300,000.
Well, what are you going to do? Take it out of my pay?
We have to. We'll start by selling your body to a medical school. Please, Johnny, do something.
Bonner, what's Elwood Faber's financial position?
AAA. Couldn't be better. They wouldn't steal him.
How about the fur man, Stroganoff?
He's always had money. Family.
All right, Bonner, I'll keep after it. I'll call you when I get something.
Johnny, don't take my shouting personally, but this is a big one. Give it everything you got.
I forced myself to get out of bed, take a shower, and get my clothes on. I started for the door and had no idea where I was going
Aha, Mr. Dollar.
when somebody did my thinking for me.
To see you personally, I, Stroganoff, maestro of the Elwood Faber Fur Department, am here.
Do you have any news?
News? Every paper in the country it should hit twice. Never in my 30 years of association with that foul little beast, the Minks, has anything like this happened.
What happened?
You wouldn't believe me.
Look, I'm pretty gullible.
But it's incredible. I don't blame you for not believing me.
Are we going to keep up this game, or do you tell me?
Don't get haughty with Stroganoff. I will tell you. This morning, wrapped in dirty cardboard box, is arriving at the Fur Department. Guess what? A mink coat. Incredible?
Incredible indeed. You mean one of the coats was returned by mail?
Right.
Well, that's encouraging.
I am not overjoyed. You still owe me for 84 coats.
Item, $1.90 for cab fare to Elwood Faber. It didn't make any sense that the men or man who committed murder to make the heist would return anything. But one coat had come back. And in the pocket, I found a small piece of slick cardboard. It was only a third of an inch long, but there were 3 words on it. Country Club Dance. I was lucky. The country club secretary had a guest list, and one name on it stuck out like the nose on Jimmy Durante. Patricia Reedy.
Yes?
Oh, Miss Reedy?
Yes. Who are you?
Name's Johnny Dollar. Your father is employed at Elwood Faber, isn't he?
That's right, but
Is he in now?
he's probably in bed. May I help you?
I don't know. I saw you at the country club dance the other night.
Oh, were you there?
I couldn't keep my eyes up, especially when you had that new coat on.
The mink. Well,
Talk with this guy, Pat. What do you want, Dollar?
Some information.
Patty, will you make some coffee or something?
all right, then. Anything else?
Oh, nothing I can't handle. Okay, Dollar, what are you doing here? Who asked you into my house?
My job. I came to find out about a mink coat that showed up at Elwood Faber this morning.
Look, let's go out in the hall and talk.
Okay. All right, Reedy, let's hear it.
Now, don't go into a long song and dance. I'll tell you everything. Just the way it was.
And I'd be real interested. The way I figure it, you helped in the theft. Maybe even killed Cronin. You kept one of the coats, but you got scared you might be caught with it, so you sent it back. Your daughter left the dance ticket in the pocket.
All right. Here's the story right down the line. I didn't help in the heist. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know what was happening. Like I told you, I was in my office, listening to the radio.
Tell me, Reedy. You have been arrested?
Well, Dollar, you're smart enough to find it out sooner or later. I served time, sure. You might as well know. Lots of it.
Elwood Faber would be interested to know a trusted watchman served time.
Well, what'd you expect me to do when I got out? Curl up and die? I gotta live, too. I'm straight now, Well, almost. I had a wife and a kid. The wife died. You seen the kid in there. 13 years of her life, she had nothing. But now I'm trying to make up for that. Everything I do is for her, not for me.
What about the coat?
Sure, I took it. I borrowed it. Well, the safe was locked up for the night. I've been borrowing stuff right along. Whenever my kid needed anything, I always return them in good shape. Told Pat they let me do it. She don't know nothing.
That's kind of a strange philosophy.
I don't even know how to spell philosophy. But I do know this. That girl in there has a life ahead of her. Her mind's behind me. I got to give her every chance I can to look good, to act good, to use her brains, to meet the right people and go to the right places. Not just for dough, you understand, a millionaire husband, but just for a right guy and a fair crack at habits.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you guys are all the same. You work from a little book, printed directions. Everything's black and white in life. Nobody's human. Oh, well, that's that. I don't know what you're going to do, but I hope it don't blast that kid's life to pieces.
Reedy, you should have thought of this a long time ago.
I don't want any lecture.
You'll shut up and you'll listen to me. I think I believe you. Maybe you're right. Maybe we do work from printed directions a little too much. Well, I can use a little judgment on my job. I think, for now, I'll forget everything you told me and forget where that coat came from. Go on back to bed. Go on, Reedy.
Well, I didn't expect that from you, Dollar.
Reedy, I know what bad breaks are like, too.
Oh, come on. Look,
You'll have me doing that in a minute.
Hey, Dollar, I don't go in for this stool-pigeon stuff. I never have. Well, now I see it another way. It doesn't matter what you tell as long as you tell it to the right guy.
What does that mean?
I'm going to give you something. It'll take them at least 24 hours to identify the guy they found on the Charles River. Picture in the paper this morning. Well, I can tell you right now who he is.
Who is he?
Ted Gray. Worked in Elwood Faber about 6 weeks. Was fired 2 weeks ago.
How do you know?
Oh, I just know.
Personnel at Elwood Faber confirmed Ted Gray had worked there and was fired for insubordination. His address was 1432 Parkhurst Avenue, and I was over there in 15 minutes. It was an ordinary, undistinguished apartment house. No one answered when I knocked at apartment 12A, but the door was unlocked. Except for the furniture, the room had almost nothing to offer. I poked around for half an hour before I saw the phone numbers written on the wallpaper next to the phone. There were 14 numbers, and I started calling them right down the line. The first 7 produced such things as Ling Chi Chinese Hand Laundry, the Happy Hour Liquor Store, and several other things that didn't have the particular information I needed. On the 8th call, I got the job.
Hello?
Hello? Is Harry there?
Harry? Harry who?
Harry Gordon.
Well, I'm sorry. You must have the wrong number.
Oh. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Maybe he didn't know Harry, but I knew him. At least his voice. I called Lieutenant Delaney and told him where I was going. It was dark by the time I got to the Middleton Safe Factory. There was a single work light spreading a sickly yellow glow over the main floor of the loading platform. There wasn't a sound when I entered. That was too good to last. It went off somewhere in the darkness, and I dropped behind a medium-sized safe and waited for a gun flash.
Dollar? Johnny Dollar? What are you doing here?
Looking for 84 mink coats, Middleton.
I thought that was you on the phone, Dollar. How much money do you make?
Not much, but save your breath. You're going to need it to run.
A man of your talent could do a lot in South America. With 100,000 and a business.
I could never remember all those Spanish verbs, thanks.
Have you got anybody coming?
Lots of people, Middleton, lots.
If I hit you, how'd I know you weren't a prisoner? You know, I'll never give up.
And you'll have to shoot better than that.
You took me 10 feet.
Oh, my windage screw is off. Is that the 32 you used on Ted Gray?
No, this time I have a Luger. For special work. I can fix that.
Oh!
Come on.
That Luger didn't help you much, Middleton.
Was an ignominious end.
Yeah. You blew a good light.
And I could never find what I wanted.
Look, I know why you kicked the watchman over, but why your own boy, Gray?
He was in on that deal with me. I held out a coat for him. No.
That shows you how wrong you can be. It wasn't Ted Gray. You see, Middleton? Oh.
Dollar!
Over this way.
You've been shooting up the tarantula. Now, what's this?
Jessup K. Middleton, he's your boy.
Yeah, boy, for what?
For the fur heist and the bodies at the morgue.
How do you know?
Well, there's a safe full of furs on its way to South America somewhere. If you hurry, you might stop it at the port of New York.
Why would he kill the guy in the river? And who was that guy?
Ted Gray. He was the man who cased the Elwood favor job. He reported 85 coats ready to go. And when only 84 showed up, Middleton thought he was holding back on him.
Well, okay, Johnny. Thanks for doing all the work.
I was just lucky, Delaney.
You sure were. You could have been hit where it hurt worse. Come on, let's have the ambulance doctor look at that shoulder.
This is the only way to live. Miss Reedy, you...
Make it.
Pat. You know you're great on your feet.
Well, what about you, Johnny? Dancing with your arm in a sling.
Well, I took the no-hands course at Arthur Murray's.
Mr. Dollar, there's a phone call at your table.
Oh, thanks, waiter. Come on, Sam. Johnny Dollar.
That Bonner, Dollar.
Bonner? I won't take another job for at least a week.
No, it's not that.
What is it? Are you afraid I'll put a night out on the swindle sheet?
You aren't finished.
Not finished? Hey, you got the coats, didn't you?
Yeah, we found the safe down at the dock. Caught it just before it was loaded for South America. There were 84 coats in it, all right. But you know the one that was sent back in the mail? It's been stolen again. One's still missing.
Oh, really? Oh, that. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Bonner, somehow I have a feeling that last coat will be in the mail tomorrow.
You sure?
Positive. So long, Mr. Bonner.
So long, Johnny.
Who was it?
Oh, nobody important. You know something, Pat? You look just grand and neat. Well, the coat did show up the next day and in the mail. Maybe she'll have one of her own someday. Me? I stuck around Beantown for a few days to get a better look at the Bunker Hill Monument, Paul Revere's home, and her deep blue eyes, which began hinting at wedding bells. So, expense account item, $11.75 back home, but fast. Expense account total, $384.16. Yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role, and was written tonight by E. Jack Newman and John Michael Hayes, with music by Lee Stevens. Featured in our cast were Harry Bartell, Joseph Kearns, Hans Conried, Bill Johnstone, Howard McNear, and Gloria Blondell. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. Join us next week when Edmund O'Brien returns in another transcribed adventure of
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
If you've got a piece of string handy, you better tie it around your finger so you won't forget to file your income tax return. The deadline is March 15th, you know, and March 15th is right at hand. So to avoid penalties, file your returns promptly, but don't be in such a hurry that you forget to sign your name or attach your withholding statement. Now stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, where you meet Gene Autry every Saturday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. Well, this episode is notable for several reasons. The first big reason is this was the first episode that Johnny Dollar got shot in. Now, in this case, it was just a bit of a flesh wound. He takes a few more perilous bullets throughout his adventures. By the way, you may be wondering about talking about March 15th as tax day. That actually was tax day until 1955. They changed it. It was originally March 1st when the income tax was passed, changed to March 15th and then to April 15th. Today's episode featured some familiar voices. Harry Bartell was on the show, and E. Jack Newman, who writes most of Jeff Regan's, took his turn at Johnny Dollar, and he would write plenty of episodes on this particular show, and would write the several of the 5-part serials under a pseudonym. As I mentioned before, Newman was very big in nearly every radio detective series that CBS did. He wrote for Sam Spade, ended up doing some writing for Richard Diamond, just a wide variety of different shows, so we get to see him write something else, and he didn't even use the word pilgrim. And an interesting voice was heard today was Bill Johnstone. Bill Johnstone is known as one of the Shadows. He was one of the voices of the Shadow after Orson Welles. But what made him so notable in this episode, and was kind of weird to me, is I have been listening to and evaluating the lineup in which Johnstone played a police lieutenant. So for me, even though it wasn't the exact same character, and you didn't have Wally Mayer reading the lineup line, it was kind of like Johnny Dollar meets the lineup, because of the similarity of the character and the characterization. Which does bring me to the point that we will be doing the lineup at some point. It's a very good detective show. It's one of the police procedurals detective shows that came out of Dragnet, in the same vein as Tales of the Texas Rangers, which is being played over on OTRWesterns.com. And I found it incredibly entertaining. Love Wally Mayer in that as Sergeant Matt Krebs. We actually have a question on Wally Mayer we will get to next Wednesday. I'll let George do it. All right, well, we've got a few more comments really quick before we wrap it up. This one comes from Colin in Meadham. He says, I was a great fan of the Humphrey Camarillo old-time radio show that is experiencing lean times. I'm an even greater fan of yours, Adam. Keep it coming. Colin in Mendham, New Jersey. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've listened to some of the Humphrey Camarillo podcast, and they haven't been coming out as frequently as they once did. For them, it's really a challenge because you could almost lose track of the number of shows that they're posting regular episodes for. So definite challenge. And finally, awesome job, Adam. As always, keep up the good work. I've been a listener since episode 1, and it just gets better. Well, thank you so much for your kind comments, and encourage you to cast your vote at Podcast Alley, whether you leave a comment or not, podcastalley.greatdetectives.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives, and send your email correspondence to box13@greatdetectives.net. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.